Everybody, welcome back. Good to see everyone. We are going to call to order the Narragansett. Sorry, Dan, are we good? Okay, thank you. We're going to call to order the Narragansett Town Council regular meeting for July 18th, 2022 at 7:32 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. All right, before we get started, just want to give a special thanks to our town clerk, Janet Taro, for putting this agenda together after a month off. We're in, I think, 45 items or so on this one, so thank you, Janet. I know it was a lot to work on. Let's go ahead and do the disclosure of executive session votes. For June 28th, 2022, the motion was by Councilor Jarzynski, seconded by Councilor Kopech, to retire to executive session of the Town Council in accordance with Rhode Island General Laws 4246-4 and 4246-5A2 for the purpose of potential litigation. It was a roll call vote. Jesse Pugh, aye. Ever Jarzynski, aye. Deborah Kopech, aye. Councilor Murray, aye. And Susan Cicilline Bonanno was absent. Motion by Councilor Jarzynski, seconded by Councilor Murray to exit executive session and reconvene in open session. So voted with 4 in favor, Councilor Cicilline Bonanno absent. And motion by Councilor Jarzynski, seconded by Councilor Kopech to seal the June 28th, 2022 executive session minutes. So voted with 4 in favor, Councilor Cicilline Bonanno absent. For approval of minutes, do we have a motion to approve the June 6th, 2022 regular meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Do we have a motion to approve the June 13th, 2022 work session minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Is there a motion to approve the June 20th, 2022 regular session minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. And is there a motion to approve the June 20th, 2022 executive session minutes?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, the June 20th, I just want to make sure. Okay. All right, everybody was there. Got it. Okay. Yep. And then we have a revote on minutes as well, because some of the council members voted in the last meeting, and it turns out they were absent, so we're going to revote. Do we have a motion to approve the May 9th, 2022 school budget work session meetings?
I'll make that motion.
Minutes.
Second.
So we had Councilor Murray absent from that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. So motion approved 4-0. And then do we have a motion to approve the May 27th, 2022 special meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And then Councilor Cicilline Bonanno and Councilor Jarzynski were absent from this meeting.
So we can't vote.
Right. Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Motion approved 3-0. Okay, now we're going to go to our town manager for the town manager's report. Thanks, Jim.
Good evening, members of the council and the public here and at home. This week, there's been a lot of discussion about the water supply in town and conservation particularly. Just a few things to bring up. There is an outdoor water ban in town. The water supply systems that are sized to communities, they're sized that way to provide potable and sanitary water, and they're not sized to provide unlimited watering for all of our lawns. The tank storages, their purpose is to pressurize the system and allow sufficient water delivery for fire suppression, but not to meet the excessive demands of so many people in town, and again, us watering our lawns all the time. The Water Division under the Engineering Department, along with our water supplier, Veolia, Rhode Island, has identified that the reduction in water is a direct result of water being used to water lawns excessively, and the demand is already up because of the number of people who are in the community now. Initially, the town initiated the odd-even outdoor water ban, and when that didn't have enough effect, we issued the full outdoor water ban. The town, we have assembled, Councilmember Deb Kopak had suggested perhaps a conservation tips type pamphlet, more paper product that, even though we post it on social media and our website, it would be available at town buildings for people to take a look at it. We have some here this evening. They should be right at the table there. If not, I will put them out there shortly. These are currently posted on the town website and social media. Any violations of the outdoor water use ban can be reported to the town's water division at 401-782-0639. The town continues to explore other options to improve this service, bolster awareness to conserve, and to improve compliance of our residents and visitors. And I will get those brochures out if they're not there right now. The Rhode Island Philharmonic and the fireworks display. It was a great event, and I would like to thank, on behalf of the council and all our residents, DPW, Parks and Recreation, Police and Fire for collectively setting up, breaking down, cleaning up, and maintaining order for one of the largest events this town has ever seen. The town and the Dunes Club collaborated on the fireworks, and we hit a snafu at the last minute. The barge company pulled out midweek, and for those of you who don't know, the fireworks are launched from the barge. We were scrambling to find another barge with the help of the Dunes Club, and we weren't able to do so. We convinced the state fire marshal to come down here, the Dunes Club and the town did, and they finally approved to do the fireworks from the actual beach as opposed to the barge that was initially approved. And on a bright note, it was a great display, and in the end, it saved the town $7,750. So it worked out for us. I met with the clerk today. We're discussing the election. Just so everyone knows, there will not be a primary for town council or school committee. There are 10 candidates that are qualified for running for town council and 6 school committee candidates. Therefore, there will not be a primary for those offices. So let's let the games begin. COVID, we currently have 3 town staff out due to COVID, and test kits are available if anyone here needs them. You can see the fire chief and he can grab them from the office. You may have noticed a sign on the front lawn of Town Hall. It's got 14 small flags in front of it. This was provided by the Rhode Island Department of Health as a reminder and in memory of the 14 Narragansett town residents who lost their life attributed to COVID. At this time, I'd like to ask the council president and the council to entertain a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jim, that's everything that you had, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay,
Mr. President, can I ask one question?
sure.
Regarding the water ban, one of the things that I just want to make sure people are aware of is what they can do if they happen to have vegetable gardens and want to water the vegetable garden. So if you could address that.
Absolutely. People can continue to do that, but the way it's recommended to be in compliance with it is to fill containers, watering cans, and apply it directly, because we use a lot less water when we do it in that fashion, as opposed to the running hose that we're all accustomed to using. So, but you are allowed to do that.
All right, thanks, Jim. Councilor Kopech, anything else?
No, that's
You
it.
good?
Thank
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we will move on to our open forum, public comment portion of the evening. So this is the time to come and speak on any issues in town that are not currently on the agenda tonight. So if there's an item on the agenda, you'll have a chance to speak during that time. If you'd like to speak about anything else, now would be great. We give everybody 3 minutes and just ask for everyone to conduct themselves orderly and respectfully. So if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. Mr. Alba? Please state your full name and address.
testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's turn down. Got it. Yes, Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. So I'm sure everyone, well, I'm sure not everyone, but as a result of the update for the Galilee RIDM Proximante Palino insider deal track, it came out now that there will be a pause to turn down the volume, a 90-day pause for them to decide on should the property be demolished, is it fit to be updated, or whatever it might be. So coincidental. No, it's not coincidental. It's election time. The governor knows the heat is on. I do want to applaud our town solicitor, James Callahan, for writing an eloquent letter, which is on the Boston Globe. Everyone can download it. And it shows clearly that the parking lot is not compliant for Zone GB. That's a fact. They should not be able to have a parking lot there. It's out of compliance. They do not have a special use permit. I guess my question now is, why are we not, as a town, issuing a cease and desist? Why are they allowed to operate that parking lot throughout this summer, bringing in revenue after their gross neglect for that property? If it was you or I, we would have been evicted from the property, banned from walking on the property, and yet our governor, our elected officials are sitting back and not being proactive in not taking the necessary steps. Time is of the essence. I think I applaud the letter, but we have to do, I feel, more than that. And I saw that it was addressed to the Rhode Island Attorney General's office. Maybe I feel we need to file a complaint. This is so important. This is a precedent setting. Tomorrow I'm going to the Siemens Institute in Newport. I want to thank Patrick Murray for sharing that information with me. I have an appointment with the director. That's an outstanding program for Galilee for us to look into. Today, the Rhode Island Attorney General sues 5 Rhode Island landlords over alleged lead poisoning. And if they're out of compliance, they're going to suffer $5,000 per day. I'm sure a lot of these landlords cannot afford this $5,000 per day. I'm sure they don't have $10 billion in assets. Why are we giving Proximante and Palino the green light, or why are we not put a request and have a cease and desist order to the Attorney General's office, to the powers that might be, that this is stopped? Because I was told by Greg Schultz that unless they have a lease, a long-term lease, a month-to-month lease can go on indefinitely, possibly. So I hope we take more action. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Mr. Wojciechowski? Please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. I hear so many times I hear about the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Not only here many times, but many meetings, everywhere you go, Pledge your allegiance to the flag. And sometimes I wonder, we repeat this, we repeat it. And I guess we repeat it because I guess so many of us don't follow it. So we need repetition. Maybe if we repeat it sooner or later, we will follow it all the way. And then, just like I'll repeat again, we want to operate under God. Minimum surplus. Don't collect any more taxes than we absolutely have to. That's an issue that could be considered under God as we look at our pledge. Tonight I want to talk about the children. Liberty. Liberty for all. Liberty for all. Now, in a winter time, we have only 3 children, college children, allowed in the house. Yet in the summertime, I could have 12, 15 children, or 12, 15 people there. So that house can take numerous people, but now you discriminate against children in the wintertime. Now, granted, there was a noise problem. In fact, I heard some noise from a child when I was eating this morning. And the child was making a lot of noise. The father was trying to calm the child, and it took him kind of a long time, and children do make noise. But that's not a reason for us to go out there and destroy the liberty for all. There's a noise ordinance, we can deal with the noise. And limiting to 3 is an issue. My grandson, he lived with 4 roommates, and it was a real benefit, the 4 roommates. They spent the 4 years together. In fact, they rented for 2 more years after they graduated, and long-term relationships formed there. And in fact, he just received his latest job change. He just went and made himself another $10,000 or $15,000 a year because of one of his buddies went and got a job at a better place and caused him to go over there. These relationships go and last, from what I see, might last forever. So it's not a matter of just 3 people. I mean, if you had 4 people, there was a bond there. So it was a benefit to have more people together. And I know I had to study together at the university in order to do better. You just can't just have 2 or 3 people. You get 4 or 5 people together and they study together, you'll learn something. So I wish you would look at the liberty for all and follow that. Follow liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Okay, anyone else for open forum? Okay, it doesn't look like it. So we'll close the open forum, public comment portion of the evening, and we will move on to our consent agenda. Are there any items on consent that any council members would like to remove?
Yes. I'm just looking for them right now. I was wondering if we could pull number 9 and also number 11.
9 and 11? Okay, sure, we'll vote on the rest of consent, and then we'll do those 2 after.
Okay.
Okay, do we have, actually, we don't do this too often. James, do we need a motion to move those? Probably, right? Just to move those off out of consent?
I'll just do a motion to approve 1 through,
And then we'll just do the others after?
correct.
Okay.
yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda minus numbers 9 and 11?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. And do we have a motion, is there a motion for number
9.
actually, is there a motion to approve the fiber optic network repair to be completed by Certex LLC in the amount of $9,038.11?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. So Deb, you had some questions?
So I just have one question about this one. I was a little confused when I read the information, which indicated that there was a vehicle that did something to cause this problem. I was just wondering whose vehicle it was, because if it was not a town vehicle, which I'm thinking it was, then I would assume there would be insurance for it. But even if it was, I would think there would be insurance for it.
Should be. It was definitely not a town vehicle. It's a large truck that didn't fit underneath the wire, apparently. So we still got to get the repairs done, then we can pursue the company that may have ripped it off
So,
the tank.
so if that happens, you'll report back and let us know?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dan.
So Dan, just a quick question. So just so we're clear, there are customers there in that area that don't have internet because of that?
No, this is our internal fiber.
Okay.
That connects our main backbone going down Point Judith Road through into the Kinney Avenue tank. It was hit and damaged quite some time ago.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. And do we have a motion to approve a contract amendment for additional professional environmental remediation services in 2022 at the DPW facility with Weston and Sampson Engineers Incorporated in the amount of $6,675?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, Counselor Kopech?
So, hi, Steve. The issue that I have here is that this has been going on for, it looks to me like 11 years. And I was wondering, are we paying, I didn't remember whether we're paying this amount on an annual basis, this $6,000 and change, almost $7,000.
It's actually reduced because each year our requirements of being less frequent that we have to test. We're almost at a 0 count or low enough where they won't require the testing anymore. I'm hoping this is the last phase of it.
Yeah, because I guess my concern was that if we were spending, roughly $7,000 a year for 11 years, that's $77,000. I don't know how much it is to do the,
The other option.
the other option, but it
Right.
seems like it's
Yeah,
kind of
it's,
amazing.
right now, we're required to do it by DEM.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but I mean, if the other option was to, I guess, to make some adjustment to the actual damaged soil, right? Was to do some kind of
Right,
work there.
so what happened was we had an underground lift to lift large trucks. The line ruptured and it leaked into the ground. It's a high water table there. So when we removed that old system, we dug the floor up and dug out as much as we could without undermining the building where we'd have a collapse. So basically, we took out what we could, but because it's such a high water table, it dispersed a lot. So we pumped water out and we kept pumping, and then now it's very minimal amount now. So I'm hoping that we'll be almost done with that.
So there's some parts in a quarter where where it's okay, or?
Yes, yeah, there's of 4 wells, there's 1 or 2 that are like, they're decimal points that's showing up.
Okay.
The other ones are clear, so we're
So
hoping that.
we probably don't have to do this next year?
I'm hoping.
So am I.
So Steve, you're
So
saying
about parts per million.
Yes.
the option that we used is better than the option B in the packet, right? What
Yeah, you
we've
would've
done,
had to knock
because
the
you're
building
almost
down and-
finished at this point,
Yeah,
right? So it
yeah, you would have had to
wouldn't
knock the building down and excavate the
Okay.
whole area.
Okay.
And
That
then
makes sense.
remove it as toxic waste. It would have cost a lot more.
Yeah, I just was concerned because we're
Sure.
looking at 11 years.
Right.
be. That was
Unfortunately,
a long time.
Yeah.
yes. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Okay. Under new business, number 16 from the Finance Department is a motion to approve the placement of the referendum question, shall the town of Narragansett be granted approval to sell miscellaneous surplus property on the ballot for the November 8th, 2022 general election, and authorize the Board of Canvassers to submit the question to the Secretary of State. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, so I think everyone on the council is familiar with the kind of the history of why we're at where we are with this ballot question. We haven't been able to sell any town property over the last few years. I'm just going to go around the council to see if anyone has any questions for James or Janet before we go to the public. So we'll start with Councilor Bonanno.
James, in that list, is it pretty clear what the tangible items are? I think that would be, I just want to make sure it's clear and,
Well, the ballot question will include a list of trucks, items, desks, things like that. I think it would make sense to add the word tangible after surplus. So surplus tangible property, make sure this refers to, desks and things, just to be positive in the long term. I think you might want to consider saying including but shall not be limited to these items in case the list changes or is adjusted over, because we're limiting ourselves to these items right now, but on November 9th, 2022, you might want to sell that chair. That's right now, we'd be prevented from doing that. So the previous ballot question, like I think Eva has said and everyone else has said, we all know it was referring to real property.
right?
We know that was the intent of the ordinance or the ballot question back then. But unfortunately, it's not what it says. The black and white language is property, and property means a house, land, or a desk.
So
a
what,
pen.
so for tonight, if we wanted to be very specific and to mirror that, we should make that amendment on this.
I think you should say tangible between surplus and property. Surplus tangible property, and then you can consider saying including but not limited to the attached list. I'm not sure how the list is going to be viewed on the ballot itself, but that may solve some problems in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We will get to these possible amendments. I just want to see if there's any other thoughts before we do that. Councilor Kopech? Or sorry, I always do that, but Councilor Jarzynski?
No, yeah, I've had lots of discussions with James, just trying to figure out if there was anything other than this that we could have done to make it easier, more streamlined. Unfortunately, there's not. I wouldn't take no for an answer, and he kept on saying, "There's the way."
Yeah, we did check with
Yeah.
other attorneys like David Ferrara, our bond counsel, and Steve Marcello, just to see if we could get some other idea.
know.
But unfortunately, it's too broad in a way.
Yeah.
Right?
I was hoping there'd be an easier way, but so this is the alternative. So
I don't know. It's
That's good.
not clear, right?
Okay, Counselor Murray.
Yeah, this is a classic example of a voter initiative with disastrous ramifications. So, 'cause, correct me if I'm wrong, but these trucks that we're going to sell, don't they have to stay insured while they're in ownership?
I don't know if they're being used, but I assume they are insured.
Yeah, so that means we're insuring two trucks. One's being used, the other one's being parked, so. And what do we need, like 12%, 12.5% of the last voter initiative? So what was that? It was like 1,200 signatures or something? How many did we collect? We collected what, 50?
25.
45?
We have to collect 1,093 signatures, and we have not counted them all,
Right.
but somewhere in the range of 100, 125 signatures is all we've received.
So we got a way to go, or else this is gonna be a canard till
The
the next
deadline
election.
is tomorrow.
The what?
The
Deadline's
deadline is
Right, so we
tomorrow.
have to wait another 2 years to get it on the ballot again, right?
Correct.
Yeah, see, this is a disaster, so. Alrighty.
Jesse, I do have one question.
Go ahead.
On the list, I thought there were some buses out there that could have been added to this list too, school buses. Just, I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe we should add them.
They're
Or are
on
they
there.
Oh, are they? Did I miss
Yeah,
them?
they say Bluebird.
Oh, Bluebird, yeah, sorry. I forgot that those were buses, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so based on, James, what you brought up, I think there's a possibility of two changes if we're going to make the amendment. So the first would be to change the wording to just to add tangible, miscellaneous, tangible surplus property.
I'd say surplus tangible property.
Okay, miscellaneous surplus tangible property. And just so I'm 100% clear on that, I think I am, but that would, that would disqualify any sort of real estate because it's
Correct.
tangible, right? But even like, would a building be considered tangible, even though that's real estate, but it's physical?
It could be, yeah. Yep,
So that would allow the town then to sell a building.
potentially. Well, that's a tricky one. I mean, that's where we're getting all these weird machinations. Because if you say like, you have a land lease or something like that, that could be construed there. But for example, the Belmont building, I think we own that property now, and the property and the real estate, so that couldn't be sold in this instance.
I'm a little,
Can't you just say excluding real property?
Yeah, you could say that, yeah.
so we would need to make, but that would need to be
Yeah.
new
that'd be
wording.
the tail end of that.
The concern I would have is that if we did say tangible property, but that we also said included but not limited to,
Right, that's what I was trying to avoid as well, exactly.
right? So I think we should consider that because I don't think anyone wants to turn this question into the, giving anyone the ability to sell any buildings, right?
Correct.
Mr. President, one other suggestion, after speaking with DPW Director Steve Dano, we have a considerable amount of scrap metal that we constantly accrue throughout the year. And that would be good to include on the list so that we can just get it off our property and free up some space and get some cash for it.
Some
Those are
scrap
tangible.
metal.
That's a tangible asset.
So then I think the tangible part is fine. What I want to talk a little bit more about with the council is the included but not limited to. Because what we want to do is we don't want to tie the town's hands to just this list, because that's the problem. But we have specific wording in our charter now, and we don't want to go in conflict with that.
You want to amend it.
And the other thing we could do is, this list doesn't have to be submitted until when, Janet?
First week of August.
So 3
but-
weeks? Something like that?
I'd have to have
2 or 3
something
weeks,
by
okay.
August 1st, because then it has to be approved, it's gonna go through the Board of Canvassers, there's a whole process that happens.
Okay. So we would have a few more weeks where staff could add to this list if we gave them the freedom to do so. Or we could change the word to say included but not limited to. One would cement this list by the middle of August. We'd have the final list, and that's it. The second option would make it open to be added to after the election by a new council. That's what it would do, because included but not limited to means that people could add, the next council could add items.
So should we also add the clause excluding real property? If we do that?
If that covers all types of, if
Real
that
property
includes,
is real estate, period, right?
Right, that's the problem with like getting into these, like
Yeah.
I want it to be extended to allow other items to be sold, but at the same time, you don't want certain items to be sold. So, it's hard to define that.
So the option is to have a specific list or make it broad enough so that things could, the law of unintended consequences could be in place. I don't know.
well, the other thing, if you look at this list, for them, almost, I think other than 2 items, they're all vehicles. That's really what we're selling, except for some wooden tables, it looks like.
And apparently scrap metal, because we're going to have that.
And now the scrap metal.
Right.
But if the concern is that we might want to sell some more vehicles after the election, and we don't want to wait 2 years to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
if there's a way that we could just say, not limited to this list of vehicles, or specify that you could add vehicles to it. I don't know. But at this point, we're kind of far off from the original amendments. So I'm open to other thoughts. I did have that concern about leaving it open-ended.
James, could you do excludes all town, residential, and commercial real property?
That would
cover
make
all
sense.
real estate, right?
I think we have the public hearing at 8, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can do that, think about it for a few minutes, and then.
We'll come back to this. Okay, thanks, James. Give us a little bit more time to think about it. Okay, why don't we go to our public hearing? We'll wait a few minutes to get set up. No rush. All set? Okay. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to start our public hearing. Do we have a motion to open and hold a public hearing on an application for the transfer
I'll
of a
make-
Class B victular alcohol beverage license from NRI Ventures LLC, doing business as Rhode Island Social, to Ralph Jagschitz, DBA, The Tavern at Assessor's Plat P, Lot 289-5, 140 Point Judith Road, Suite A5, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
them. Second.
All right, motion by Counselor Kopech, seconded by Counselor Murray. Okay, so the public
It
hearing,
was Susan,
oh, was it you?
yeah.
Okay, by Counselor Cicilline Bonanno, second by Counselor Murray. So the public hearing is open. Do we have, well, actually, does anyone from the council want to speak before we go to the public? No? Okay, do we have the applicant here? Okay, come on up. So we're going to have you sworn in by the town solicitor.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
My name's Ralph Jaxis. I live at 5 Pond Avenue, Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay, great, thank you. So you want to, do you mind giving us just a little bit of background on the application?
Of me?
On the business?
Of the business?
Yeah.
There's been an alcoholic place there for at least the last 20 years, and we hope to just make it a comfortable place, meaning a tavern where people can come and be able to talk play some games. We got different, things from pool to darts and stuff. So I'm hoping there's enough local interest that it becomes a place where, again, people will want to socialize. We'd prefer not to go in the direction of music and things like that. Light menu, light food, nothing special. The hours now are a little later. We don't open until 6. I would like to be able to change that and open earlier, but we didn't get a very good response when we were operating when Mike was there, Rhode Island Socials. I worked in there a little bit. So we are hoping that we get a better response from the town and don't have to go in different directions to do different things.
Ralph, what time is it? 5 to what? It stays open.
I make the closing hour at midnight, so I have the option. We do stay open till 1, but I don't want to argue with patrons that I don't feel need to be there after 12 o'clock.
So 12 o'clock. And you'd like to be earlier so you could have lunch there too, because they have food?
Well, that was the problem. There was just, between all the other establishments there, it was very difficult to get anybody over there for food. And I had, the lunch thing was a 0.
And you're talking about the old Proof.
Yep. But once you hit around 6 o'clock, people stop in for appetizers, this and that. So we're not really a restaurant. It's more sandwiches, again, appetizers, soups, light things like that, and a revolving menu that changes.
Good. Okay, any other questions for the applicant, the council?
Will you be open tonight till 1?
I will not. I closed up the last couple of weeks of June and for the month of July.
I don't think we're gonna get out of here till 1.
So I will not be there.
We're gonna have to find a place here. Okay.
I'm getting a little older, and I wanted to, I'm a lobsterman also, and I just wanted a little space and a little time on the bay.
Sure.
Ralph, music? Is there music there?
No music.
No, we have not had any music besides the jukebox, and I'm hoping to keep it like that. I think that was the games. There is a couple pool tables, again, the darts, shuffleboard, foosball. So I'm hoping people more come in to talk. We don't even have the internet in there. To sort of more relax and chill and just try to, I don't think the place is an adequate facility for music to start off with. It's not set up for it. So I don't think we'd ever go that direction.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, great, thank you.
Good luck. Good luck.
All right, we're going to go to the public. Would anyone from the public like to speak? All right, looks like none. So if there are no other comments from the council, do we have, is there someone? Oh, there you go, Catherine. We'll have the solicitor swear you in.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. There's an objection to this transfer, according to the agenda, isn't there? That's been resolved? Okay, as long as it's been resolved. That's great.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else? Okay, don't see any. So do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. And do we have a motion to approve the transfer of a Class B victualler alcohol beverage license, NRI Ventures LLC, DBA RI Social, to Ralph Jagetz, doing business as The Tavern at Assessor's Plat P, Lot 289-5, 140 Point Judith Road, Suite A5, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right. Any comments? Okay, we're not going to go to the public because we just had the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations, Ralph.
All right. All right. So,
Ralph, congratulations.
good to go.
Good luck.
All right, great. So that is the only public hearing we have for the evening, and we'll just do a few scheduling now. Thank you. Do we have a motion to schedule a public hearing on an application for a transfer of a Class B victualling alcoholic beverage license from WT Galilee Corporation, doing business as Captain Foggy's Fish House, to Ola Kala LLC, Assessor's Plat IG, Lot 214-S, 290-294, Great Island Road, Narragansett, Rhode Island.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
The
All right,
date.
so the date would be, if I could find it here, August 15th is the suggested date at 8 o'clock. Any objections from the council?
Nope.
Okay, anyone from the public wish to speak on the scheduling? Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have a motion to schedule a public hearing on an application for a transfer of a Class B victualling alcoholic beverage license from Thai Best LLC, doing business as Thai Best, to Tsunami Asian and Sushi Bar LLC, Assessor's Plat C, Lot 181-1A, 21 Pier Marketplace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so I think for this one, that would be August 15th as well, so we'll just do that on the same night.
Perfect.
Works for everyone? Anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. So we're going to go back to motion number 16, which was the ballot question. So, James, I think we were talking to you, and then you reminded us that we had the public hearing. Do you have any thoughts on the best way to go about this, knowing that what we want to accomplish and what we want to avoid? Can you, I don't know if your mic's on.
I think using Patrick's suggestion, I was going to suggest that we maybe amend it to say, shall the town of Narragansett be granted approval to sell miscellaneous surplus tangible property, including but not limited to the attached list, but excluding all town-owned buildings, real property, and real estate.
That's clear.
That's
pretty good.
too much for a ballot question, is
Pretty
that too
clear.
much to take in, or is that?
I think it's pretty direct,
That's good, yeah.
right?
That's
It's,
good.
yeah. I can't remember what you just said.
Right.
So someone will need
Give it to Janet, and then we can do it that way, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, just make the motion in second. Can we do it that way?
Right, so we need to make the motion to amend. James, can we make it as one motion, which is amending a vote on it? That's the approval?
Right, amend the language of the proposed motion. I'll just read it again to
Okay.
say, shall the town of Narragansett be granted approval to sell miscellaneous surplus tangible property, including but not limited to the attached list, but excluding all town-owned buildings, real property, and real estate.
Great, do we have a motion
I'll
to?
make that motion.
All right, so it's a motion to amend the ballot question as dictated by the town solicitor, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
okay.
Good job, Patrick.
So this is on the amendment. Are there any comments from the public? All right, Dr. Alba. So again, this is just on the amendment, and we'll get back to the general motion.
Yes, I think that I...
Al, can you please state your full name and
Sure.
address?
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. So yes, I think the amendment is fine as proposed by Patrick and seconded by our town solicitor. So that's all you want to hear for now, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Schofield,
The town solicitor didn't second the motion. Okay.
please state your full name and address.
Yes, Harold Schofield, 9 Atlantic Avenue, Narragansett. You know, I just have to say the submission and passage of that ordinance 2 years ago was done, zealously for protection of one building for a library. As Patrick said, disastrous, consequences. I think it was both irresponsible and incompetent. And in all the years I've lived here, I've never seen to constrain town government's ability to buy and sell real property, tangible property, any property, for the sake of one issue, which became highly polarized and political. It's just fundamentally wrong. We elect the town council, we hire professionals who do a good job running the town, and they should be free to run the town and take the consequences every 2 years when elections comes up. So I think the amendment should be broader than that. We should try to reinstate the town's full ability to buy and sell all property, real, tangible, and otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wojciechowski.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Best Neck Road. You know, the list, you're gonna have to have a list now. This list will go crazy. You know, I mean, you know, since it's not on a list, you can't do it. We're gonna have a nightmare, I think. So the only solution is, I can't believe I agree with him. I can't believe I agree with him. But however, you're in charge, you can sell anything you want. And if we don't like it, we'll vote you out, or we'll scream over here, or do something. But to try and nickel and dime this thing, and you know, I commend you on getting a good description on, and it's probably very good at this time. But you know, we had the scrap pile show up, and I don't know what other kind of pile is going to show up. And I want to give you the right to do anything you want, sell anything you want, anytime you want. If you get 5 people to vote for it, or the majority, if you get a majority of people to vote for an issue to buy or sell something, then you should be allowed to do it. That's what our government is here for. You know, if it's a lousy idea, there shouldn't be 3 people to follow it, you know? So sell all property. You have the ability to sell all property, and you'll be judged as such at the electing time, whether we approved or not, as well as the podium. Sell it all. Buy and sell anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Catherine? Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I like the amendment. I think it's a good idea, especially in this particular atmosphere. I think the town council should have the right to exercise their authority, but maybe that should be held in abeyance for a while. But overall, I don't think we should be selling any town-owned property. We should be buying anything we can buy, open space, anything. All of that helps our collateral when we go out to bonding. So the last thing we would want to do, I think, would be to sell buildings or land or anything of value. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ferrandi? Please state your full name and address.
Thank you, council members. Stephen Ferrandi, 44 Sylvan Road. The only thing I have to say about this is, you know, it seems like we realize it was a, you know, ill-advised initiative before, and it had an author before, and I guess I believe Wynn is the one that came up with this, and he did get a lot of signatures to get that. It did get passed. And then the second time, I guess he wanted to adjust it a little more, and it really didn't satisfy the town enough that they could sell anything. So here this one is, and I don't completely disagree that it was a bad initiative, but it's almost like we're going around the voters now, and the council's bringing this forth to kind of get it as right as they can. And at least the ill-advised author of the first petition owes an apology for everybody that voted for it. Or didn't understand it. Maybe they did want it. Maybe some of these voters did want that to happen. So I just think it's ill-advised. It's a shame we're in this position. I understand that the decision has to be made, but I think you have to look and give the full story of the history so we can go forward with something different. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add, we'll take the rest of the comments as well. I just want to make sure this is clear as we go on. So this is something that will need to be done every 2 years at every election until the charter is changed. So what is being proposed, what we're talking about tonight is a ballot question that will only allow the town to sell tangible property for the next 2 years. It'll then need to go on the ballot again, the same thing. And this will happen on repeat until the charter is updated. So it is still up to the voters, because the voters would have to approve this, and it's a specific list of what we're selling. and any other, and it turns out any other tangible property. But I just want to be clear about that. This doesn't change the charter. This would need to happen every 2 years. Approval would need to be granted every 2 years by the voters. So, all right, who's up? Anyone else? Yep, right there.
I see him.
Yep. Please state your full name and address.
Carl Marchand, 76 Lambert Street. I recall, and I could completely have some of the facts misplaced, so excuse me, but there was a recent, in the recent past, a significant real estate sale that took place in town that seemed to go and get some pretty bad reviews, go sideways. It went every which way it possibly could. And I don't know, and maybe it's not even needed right now because you clearly clarified it was only tangible property, but I think if there was an asset in town of a certain amount, that there would have to be additional guidelines. From what I remember from that last project was that it seemed to be done off to the side, at least the accusations were made. And I think a significant town asset would probably have to have some significant guidelines to make sure that something like that could never happen again. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yep, Mr. Hames. Please state your full name and address.
Wintersby Ames III, 30 Wood Avenue, Narragansett. Since this has been bandied around the last 2 years, I think the solution that James has come up with is an excellent solution. The original, and I could go back, I had the date here, was asked of the town solicitor at the time, was this for real estate only? The town solicitor at that time said yes. It was asked by Councilwoman Lawler to Solicitor Davis back, I think, in May of 2020, before the vote. And he said it was real estate only. So we promoted it as real estate only. So that's what the voters thought they were voting on, was real estate only. Mr. Callahan has a different interpretation of it, which is fine. So, you know, the solution he's come up with it is fine. If we have to do it every 2 years, or we get to an election where not too many people vote, we might be able to get the signatures. But that's the history of it. I mean, it was designed not just for the Belmont building. There was also talk of selling the Clark Road property, making condos there. There was also talk of selling the Middlebridge property for a wedding venue. So it wasn't just the library. And if we're going to protect the town assets, this kind of protects the town assets. And if we're going to go out and buy something, there's other properties in town I would like to see the town pursue and bring in. But I don't want to have a council that's not is understanding or wants to keep the property elected in 10 years and decide to turn around and sell the property. So that was the history or the basis of the whole thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody else from the public? Okay. All right, so this is the vote on the amendment to the ballot question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion approved 5-0 to amend. And then we have the motion itself. James, now that we have amended that to say including but not limited to, we don't need to worry about adding scrap metal or updating this list because it doesn't have to be on the list.
I think the list will be updated anyway before the election, but in the event there's more items to be added, I think we're going to do our best to get everything on there, but if there's more items in the future, then they'll be sellable.
Okay, and do we need to add any language now to basically allow staff to update this list over the next few weeks? Or is that assumed?
I think it's assumed.
Okay. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I just have a question, though.
Yep.
So we're actually due for a charter review. So in that aspect, we could fix this through the charter review. So this is just a temporary.
And we can do that without a petition going out.
We can't, but even with the charter being reviewed and then.
Can the charter review,
I think only.
it's kind of,
think that,
But that could go on the ballot, like if you, the changes to the charter. So that would go on the next election cycle.
you mean to change the
Like, so if
voter
you-
initiative can be switched by the council? Or,
Just any changes have to go. Like, isn't that the way it works if they do a charter review, right?
Try to reform.
Charter, yeah. So, because we're due for it. And anything that, and if any changes are made, a lot of those changes have to go to a vote, correct? On the.
Correct.
Right, Janet? So technically, we could fix this. We could figure out a way to fix it going forward. So this is just, maybe just for this election cycle and once, because I think we're overdue for a charter review.
We can offer up language to fix it to the
sorry?
voters. I said, we can offer up language to fix
Right.
it to the voters.
Correct, and then, correct, so, yeah.
But
that's
the
what I'm
point is that
saying.
it gets on the ballot without having to go through the public initiative process.
Yeah, I understood that. I just want to make sure that, it's still going to be up to the voters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's
Which
the
is,
point
which
I'm
is
saying.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So council's good. Are there any additional comments on the motion itself? Dr. Vengerbash? Please state your full name and address.
Yeah, Richard Vangermesh, 55 O'Seal. Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of the Finance Committee. This gets us out of at least a horrible situation, and the solution of a charter reform commission is something. As we see, it's very difficult to get 1,500 signatures on a boring accounting question. This counting is boring. It's almost as boring as law. But this is a solution. We have to get rid of our surplus property. And, just if we have to do this every 2 years, we'll do it every 2 years, but we just can't build up all this junk.
All right, thank you. Dr. Alba? Please state your full name and address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. I think the whole process of a voter initiative, we should rethink that too, so we don't get into this bind again. Just like now, we're using due diligence to make sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, So we need to be proactive now and learn from this experience so this won't happen again. Now, it's my understanding that we need X amount of signatures for this to even go on the ballot this time around, is that correct?
No. This is a town council ballot question. This isn't through the initiative process.
Oh, this is okay. So you're telling me that you guys will be able to decide on
No, this is deciding the wording of the ballot
Oh, the wording
question
of the ballot,
that
okay.
goes to the voters. They'll vote.
Okay, now, how about in regards to, what was mentioned, we only have so many signatures right now, and the deadline's tomorrow. Now, is that pertaining to, could you explain that, what that means, please?
So we don't want to do too much of a back and forth.
Okay,
So-
I guess my question is, if we don't have those signatures, we're going to have to wait for the next election, and that's going to cost us a lot of monies. And if that's the case, it might be worth, I don't know if there's someone from our town, or we could hire even people out. I know time's of the essence, but have them go door knocking like crazy. It'd be worth the expense to get these signatures, so we're not going to be tied up with these excess, literally, some waste products that could be sold, or items which have to be kept in storage. So just a consideration, but even if we have to hire people to do canvassing throughout the town to get the signatures, I think it'll be money well spent. So, okay, thank you.
All right, so I just want to be clear, thank you. Just for everyone to be aware of. So there's a separate initiative process that anyone from the public could do. If they have something they want on a ballot, they submit that to the town. The town says this is a legal ballot initiative. Then that person from the public goes around with whoever they want, and they collect signatures. The town's not involved in that process. That's a public process. And that would be to change the charter question, or change the wording in the charter. What we're doing here is just a straight-up ballot question to sell property over the next 2 years, and that would need to be redone each time. But that's separate from the initiative, which is what Mr. Hames was working on getting signatures for, but nothing to do with town staff or the town council. If anyone wants to add to that, is that clear? Okay.
I think that's right. However, if
Okay.
anybody has an initiative here and somebody wants to sign it, I'd say do it.
Okay, any other comments?
The previous ballot initiative, okay, we have to compile this every 2 years for the voters to vote on. That's what we're doing now. Compiling a list, getting the verbiage right, put it on the ballot so the voters can make a decision, and that's the process, all right? So getting signatures and repealing the previous voter initiative, that's a whole different subject. Okay.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and take the vote. So this is to approve the referendum question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 17, under Town Manager, is a motion to adopt a resolution approving placement of a referendum bond question authorizing the town of Narragansett to finance the improvement, replacement, construction, renovation, repair, reconstruction, and/or restoration of roadways, sidewalks, storm drains, public buildings, and other public infrastructure on the ballot for the November 8th, 2022 general election. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so if we all recall, I believe it was our last meeting, it may have been a meeting before that, we approved basically a road bond plus bond question. And this would authorize, this is part of the process, the resolution, because this has come back from the General Assembly, approved, and now it has to come to the council to approve the resolution. Are there any questions from the council?
Yeah, just not a road bond, though. It was renovations of buildings as well. I just wanted to be clear that.
Right, so it's kind of like a road bond
Because
plus.
it's $20 million,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it was
It's not just-
infrastructure.
It's for both.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
James, we have to, each one of us have to approve this to get it on the ballot, right?
This resolution?
This resolution.
What do you mean, each one of you?
If this
Well, I
failed
mean-
tonight, this would not go on the
Oh,
ballot.
right, correct, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be unanimous, but.
Yeah, but so you can vote against it?
Correct, well.
Okay.
You can, but.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Why couldn't you?
Of course you can.
Well.
Right.
Well, we've had previous ballot initiatives where you have to get it on there, so I'm just making the distinction, you know, so.
Yeah, so one of the differences that we had talked about last meeting was this differs from previous road bonds that we had put up because it also involves like building renovations, that sort of
Why I'm
thing.
voting against it.
It's still up to the council to decide how that money's spent, and the majority of it would be roads because we have enough pending expenses when it comes to roads, but it would add some flexibility. So, any other comments from the council?
No.
Okay, anyone from the public? Ms. Celeberto?
Catherine Celeberto, 48 Earls Court. I just want to say that in the next 2 years, you can declare anything you want surplus except land and buildings. You're not tied to that list. That's just an example list, correct? They're not tied on the other.
Oh, this is on
last
the,
one. I know,
okay.
but I'm like, you're not tied to it. You can declare cars and whatever surplus during the next 2 years. You're not tied to this list.
That's right,
Okay,
that from the
that's
last
what I want
item,
to be clear.
right.
But okay, anyway, this, as far as this is concerned, can you amend this resolution now or not? Because there's no point in me talking if you can't amend the resolution.
We could do it, I mean, I think we could, I don't know, because it went through the General Assembly. Yeah, so probably not, it would have to go back up again.
I think this is the language you have to approve
Right.
or not.
Right, so this is it. Yep.
Well, even though you
Get it
can
as it
amend it, I object to the public buildings part. To me, this is just a thinly veiled way to get millions more into the library project, and the voters voted for 5.8 million. If the library project needs more money, and I know they do, you need a separate bond for it. End of story. Just need a separate bond. It has to be transparent, and I don't think this is transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nope, okay. All right, anyone from the council? I didn't even think of the library for this.
Yeah, I
Because there's so many other projects that are listed right here that would use up this money.
Right.
Okay, good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Motion approved, 4-1. Number 18 is a motion to, this is from Building and Zoning, a motion to read, pass, and accept as a first reading an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett entitled Businesses, specifically Section 518, Registration, and Section 521, Fee. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay. And I think there'll be a decent amount of comment on this. Does anyone want to hear from Wayne to get started?
Yes.
Okay. If Wayne Pimentel can come up, our building official, that'd be great. Thank you, Wayne. Why don't we go in order? So we're going to start with Susan. If you have any specific questions for Wayne.
So,
Good evening.
Thank you, Wayne.
You're
So
welcome.
I know that a small group met with you, the town manager, some real estate individuals to talk about kind of redesigning the registration. And I was just wondering, when did you guys meet? When was the first meeting?
Trying to think, that was probably
Was it
back in
June?
April.
Was it-
There were two council members, there was Councilman Pugh and Councilman Kopech were the parties that were interested in that were part of that discussion.
So was it a couple months ago?
Yeah, it was probably a couple months
Okay,
ago.
so we've gotten a lot of, feedback from this, and I don't really have any big issues on it. One of the things that we keep hearing is the time that things are due, the August date as opposed to the December. People feel like, they haven't had enough time to prepare. And I'm asking that question because if you guys met a couple months ago, it does seem very close to August at this point to see it here tonight. So we're not even going to get through the second part of the ordinance to even make it stick. So that was a lot of concern that I heard. And then the second thing that people were weighing in on is the electronic, the mandatory electronic. I know 21st century, everything's electronic, and I know it's the software, but there were a lot of people that were saying that, it's difficult for them. And I'm going to be 60, I'm not that good with technology either. So I know that it's good to move people in that direction. I know the software calls for that, but if you want people, the idea of the rental registration is to people to register, right? So if they're not capable or they can't, it alleviates what we're looking for. So those are the few things I heard. As far as the notary, they have the other kind of signature. Everything else seemed okay. The big thing here tonight is the timing of this. And so I would just urge you to kind of look at the package maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, we had some staffing shortages in our department, which led to that delay in getting it before the council. We could certainly still move forward with providing maybe a 1-month delay on the submission of the electronic, maybe going to October 31st. But what we want to do is we want to try to mirror the academic year with this new registration. The problem we've had before is with the December 31st, we already have college students in there, and leases are already signed, so we're not able to do any enforcement. And with the December 31st, that year ran for the calendar year, there was another group of students that were coming in that we wouldn't even know who they were until the following December. So this aligns more with the academic year, which is the majority of our rentals. But I agree, I don't have any problem postponing this perhaps or delaying the submission of the electronic registration until October 31st.
So
Or September 31st. Yes,
right.
September 30th.
Yeah, we can talk about that as we go through the discussion. Any other questions for Wayne, Susan?
No, I think you do a nice job, Wayne, and I appreciate
We'll
the work
go in
on
order.
it.
No,
All right, Councilor Drzezinski.
No, thanks, Wayne. So you answered my question. It was just the rationale makes sense to me of the change. So thank you.
Yeah, and basically, we're going to be on the same format that the building permits are on, and also the town clerk's licensing is also going to be on the same platform. It'll enable us to have a really good database. Right now, the database, we've had a lot of issues with queuing up different types of rentals, how many bedrooms. This is going to streamline that because these questions will be mandatory, And when we need to run reports, we'll be able to run more accurate reports.
Okay.
One other question, sorry. So will it be, so, we did discuss, like, some individuals may not be tech savvy, or will we have support?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that we offer support to those individuals to come and help them
Yes.
through that process, thank you.
We have a kiosk right now in our building department which assists for people that want to come in and fill out building permits. We'll be able to use that same kiosk for those that want to come in and register online, and we can assist them. So we certainly will make every effort to help anyone that has a problem doing it electronically.
All right, Counselor Kopech.
Just wanted to reiterate that because the rental registration fee has been paid up through December 31st, you'll prorate the amount that they will need to pay this time.
That's
until we
correct.
Get into the
And then
appropriate
hopefully
cycle.
next year, when we're on that new calendar, on that new yearly calendar, it'll be just the 120. But right now, we would prorate it so we can make that jump to August.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is a really good idea. I understand that sometimes it's difficult for people to figure out how to use a new piece of software. So I think it's imperative that we provide really good service for that, like Eva mentioned. But I think it's, it makes everything so much more legitimate in terms of the information that you have and how you can continue to do what you need to do. I'm in favor of this immensely. But I do think that the timing is not great, and we do need to adjust for this year accordingly.
I have no problem with adding some flexibility. We can talk with staff on that and doing that for, for this transition, because we do know it is a change, so we have no problem doing that.
Okay,
And
thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask James, you can mandate, like, absolutely electronic, like if there's like a landlord that's somewhere else that, is elderly, you can say, sorry, if you don't hand it in by the paper, you have to do it. I mean, I'm just curious, I'm trying to advocate for some of my older friends, but is that, legally, you can just say, we only accept it online? Because even in the schools, we give paper copies too.
Well, we do it with building permits and we do it with licensing currently, so that's the
Yeah,
format.
I guess the
that-
question is, you can, right? You can
There's
legally.
there's no prohibition.
And again, we'll certainly assist anybody that has any
I know
issues
you
with
will.
that.
I know
We will help them.
All right, Counselor Murray.
Okay, Wayne, I'm a little confused here. What does the registration fee, all right? I look forward to it every December. It's like Christmas. Most of these rentals, year after year after year, the same bedroom, same type of rental, and they pay the fee. And, then they go to court in February. But what does that got to do with enforcement? I know things may change per, some units, but it's not a lot of units that would change to make this, change the fee schedule.
Yeah, one of the problems we had was forms being submitted or mailed back to us that were incomplete, lack of information.
Right.
So by having it electronically and having it mandated that they answer these questions, or else they won't be able to submit their registration,
Right.
will enable us to have a really good database of what's out there.
Right, I understand that, but what does that got to do with paying it on, at the end of December for the next year, than August? That should be
Well-
inconsequential to enforcement, right?
Yeah, we could technically send out a registration where they have to register by August 31st,
Right.
but they could pay
Pay it in
December
December,
31st.
yeah. 'Cause
We
that
just
look-
felt,
yeah.
yeah, we could certainly look at that, but we
Yeah.
felt if we kept it the same, it was less confusing than trying to.
Well, I think you're
Two
gonna
different-
derail a lot of people by changing that payment date. Because, the end of the year, then, well, what do I gotta do? Oh, yeah, it's Christmas, then I gotta pay my registration fee. So,
Yeah.
I just think switching that horse there is gonna,
And perhaps this year, we could leave it as, we want you to submit your registration electronically by August 31st, but we'll allow you to pay up until December 31st.
keep it traditional.
Yeah.
Correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Just a few questions I want to go through.
Sure.
Thanks for putting this together. I know it was a little while back that we had those meetings, or that meeting to kind of talk about this. But yeah, so basically the idea is that this council approved a 3-student ordinance, and you can't enforce that if you don't have people telling you how many people are in their rentals and swearing that that's true. Because when you get the papers back and they're not filled out, then there's nothing legally binding there. You can't enforce that and say, we're going to take you, we're going to have a municipal court case when the owner never swore, notarized how many people are in there. You need to have that accurate record with an affidavit in order to make any sort of case if you're going to enforce this. I agree that we should extend this out. I would say, I think a month is fine, but an additional month. So September 31st. If we used to send these out in October and they were due December 31st, that's like 2.5 months. And if we did September 31st and we do a second reading of this on August 1st, that gives 2 months. So something like that. My recommendation would be to keep the August 31st timeline, but just grant the extension this one time, because it's a change. That's where I would stand on that. One thing I did want to mention was, somewhere in this document it says that we would send out an email notification. I actually think that it would be beneficial to continue with the physical letter notifications as well. I know it's an additional cost, but people are used to it. You can't get lost in spam.
Yeah, the initial one would be by letter, because right now we don't have a database electronically of all the email addresses. Once we do it electronically, we'll be able to rebill annually just through the way it's same way that the clerks does. They send out a notice that your renewal is due.
Right.
But for this year, we would send out a written notice to them.
Okay, great. And then I have a couple questions about a couple things in here. One is this document that shows the differences between the two registration forms or programs. There's a place where it says the applicant will be required to provide, mandatory documentation. It says, let me see if I can just find that exact wording. I just want to understand what that means.
Was that the last one on the bottom of the page?
On the first page, right.
Yes.
Yeah, so we also require mandatory documentation on the number of bedrooms, occupants, students, and a few other things. What does that mean exactly when you say mandatory documentation?
So what we'll do is we'll have a drop-down list when it lists the type of housing or rental this is. There'll be a list to choose from. They'll have to pick one of those so we know exactly what type of rental. And we're going to expand that list to include short-term rentals, something under 30 days. There'll be an academic in summer, strictly academic, yearly, monthly. So that way there, we'll know exactly. Right now, we get forms back, I would say, more than 50% come back and nothing's checked off. So we have no idea of what type of rental it is.
Okay, so that means just this creates the documentation. I didn't know if it meant like upload existing documentation.
No, this will be a drop-down, and unless they choose one, they won't be able to move forward with the application.
Okay. Well, the owners would have the ability to check like multiple uses, right? So academic and short-term.
Yes.
Okay. There's another area where it says to upload a lease PDF.
Yeah, so we will either require, and we have not finalized this, we will either require them to upload their lease with the student names or provide us the list of the students that are going to be renting.
Because a lot of the leases are electronic now, right?
A lot of them are electronic, and right now they're required to have the lease on hand at the house. But if no one's home, a lot of times when we do send personnel there, the students will show their copy of their lease on their phone. So it just makes it more convenient for us to know which students are there. So that way there, if there are 5 students there, which 3 are there legally or under the lease agreement.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to understand that part of it. Yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll say, and this might get brought up tonight, is we did get, a decent amount of emails over the last few days from owners on this one. Some of them said they wouldn't be able to do it online. However, we were getting emails. Those messages were sent through email, so I'm not sure how that. So I think the ability is there, and then, like you said, you would be there as a resource.
And we'll provide instructions on how this is done as well, so.
Okay. The other thing is we've gotten complaints a lot about the need to notarize, the hassle it is to go and get something notarized. This is making it much easier, not have to go through that step. Simple affidavit that you check, sign your initials or however it's done. So I think that is progress. It's what people have been asking for. So we're getting there on that. That's all I have for now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna add one more quick question. So we're going from, because the lease is supposed to be posted at the rental, at the entrance of the dwelling, correct?
Inside the dwelling,
Right,
yes.
so is that still enforced?
Most of them don't have it.
Right.
And like I said, most of the students, everything's done electronically now, so.
Right, so,
We would prefer to have the database with all of those names.
right.
So that way there, if there is a problem,
Yeah,
excuse me, either are.
yeah, I know,
and-
I don't know. James, is this a privacy issue? No?
For the lease?
Yeah, to have everybody's lease posted, well, provided electronically? I mean, that's a contract between two parties.
I don't think so. I mean, you can look up
I can
anybody's.
see posting it at the door and enforcing that, but.
You can look up anybody's, tax assessment records, owns a house. So
Right.
I don't see much difference.
Yeah, I know,
there.
but you don't have a renter in there who's there, maybe there for 9 months. So,
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
you don't think it's a privacy concern?
No, I mean, we have to do our best to enforce what we have without something in that effect.
Like,
we have no-
as a landlord, I got 2 year-round, I have to go year-round tenants, because I'm too lazy to do summer, winter rental. I don't want to deal with it, so. But I have a problem, because on the lease, it's social security numbers in many cases, right?
Yeah, and we could look into that where you simply provide their names.
I think you're on touchy legal ground providing leases and kids' names and social, I mean, I think that's a segue into another.
Well, I think, the whole thing with the 3 student is we need some backup as to which 3 students are living in these
Right.
houses.
Right,
Otherwise, enforcement's out the window.
right. Well, I don't know. I think you need to void the social security numbers, because that's a
Yeah.
lot of data going,
Yeah, I don't think we would need
in
a
the
copy
cloud.
of all of the, social security numbers and all of that. We're just looking for which students are living there.
Right, right.
Can I ask one last question, Wayne?
Sure.
So people said September, and then I heard December, and you're the building inspector. What is your recommendation for the filing of the registration paper? What would you just say to us that you think would work for your office to get this done? Because I know the emails we got, that was the biggest thing, was the date when it was going to be enacted, so
Yeah,
what are you
so
thinking?
what we could do is we could go to September 30th for the electronic submission to be filed, and we could keep the December 31st for the payment. And to next year, we can prorate it and be on the regular schedule for August 31st.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
And we wouldn't have to change the ordinance because this would just be a one-time allowance for late payment, basically. We would just, there would be no late payment. It would be December 31st, but all the dates in the ordinance need to stay August 31st.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wayne, are there any other thoughts that we didn't bring up that are relevant?
No, I think, getting rid of the notary and getting it to an academic year is going to benefit us for enforcement.
And the rationale is because there are mostly student rentals.
Absolutely.
Because it's a registration for all rentals, but because that's the highest number in the town, you're moving it to that format.
Yeah, and that's typically the ones where we get the most complaints about.
Right, and with the current one, you basically have 2 sets of students because you're in the middle of an academic year.
Yeah, right now,
It
it's really
doesn't make any
difficult
sense.
with the
Right.
December 31st, because we're in the middle of the school year. And we could get a current list, but then we wouldn't have no idea of what students are moving in September with the way it's currently set up.
Okay. All right, we'll go to, thank you, Wayne. We'll have a chance to speak again before we vote.
I'll wait over here.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right, we're going to go to the public. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak. We'll start with Dr. Alba.
Smoke them if you got them.
Please state your full name and address.
Yes, Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. One of the things I've always look at is, I know when a new policy is in place, and I know the council voted, I believe, 3-2 to implement this new policy. And who knows, in November, we don't know what's going to happen. No one has a crystal ball. We might have a new town council, and they might say, let's go with the 4 student rental. They might have to change that. I know that would make Stan happy. So, but the point is, has the number of tags, yellow tags, calls to the police department, has that gone down significantly since this new policy has been in place? My question is, how effective has this new policy been in regards to mitigating the concerns that put the policy in place? So I think that's something to be looked at. Obviously, I have another question, too, to the gentleman who was just up here. Say they go door knocking and say someone has their buddy over or someone's girlfriend or boyfriend over, and they're sleeping over. I mean, what point will we be able to say, well, that person cannot stay over even though he's your girlfriend, boyfriend, or just significant other, whatever it might be? And they, kids are very creative this way. So, we've all been to college, where even if you didn't go to college, you've all been young at one time. You know how young people are. Some people are going to cohabitate. So I guess my question is, how, someone could put down 3 in the affidavit and say, this is now, like you said, President Pugh, we have some grounds now. But now if they go door knocking and they say, well, he or she's not living here, but they're just doing 2 days overnight, or they're vacationing here for a couple of days or a week. How are we going to, where do you draw the line? That's my question. So I think we have to consider all these things. I would also like to know the statistics in regards to, like I said, since this here policy has been in place, has there been fewer, significantly fewer, statistically significantly fewer, not 1 or 2, but statistically, they could do a statistical analysis to see how has it been effective? Have we had fewer complaints since this new policy being in place? So this is something that we should consider. When the new council gets on board, I'm going to strongly recommend this, because I, for one, I always thought, and I do live in Riverfront. They know they don't have no rentals, Catherine, because I know she'll bring that up. But no, I always thought that 4 was a good number. That was my personal position. But okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Celeberto? Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celeberto, 48 Earls Court. Former rental owners and current rental owners, they always bring up the same themes. Suppose somebody has somebody staying over. How can you count that person? What are the noise statistics? This 3-student ordinance is not about noise or if you're having a friend sleep over. This is about stopping the monetization of single-family houses. That's what this is about, so that the prices come to a reasonable level and we can get more families in. It's got nothing to do with anything else. As far as this new form is concerned, this still relies on neighbors calling the building inspector's office and stating there's 6 cars next door. They all have URI shirts on them. I'm guessing they're students, and then reporting it. I would like to see added to this the name of the owner's insurance company and the agent as a contact, because I think this is how you're going to scare these owners, really. If you start calling their insurance companies, they're going to sit up and take notice, because a lot of these people, they have mortgages that are second home mortgages, and they have insurance policies that are for second homes. So I think you have to like really stop playing hardball in that area. But again, the narrative always gets switched by these rental owners. This is not about noise. It's not about noise. It's not about, people staying over. It's none of that. It's about the monetization of single-family houses, which single-family houses are to live in. They're for families to live in. They're not to be cash-generating money machines. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Schofield? Please state your full name and address.
Yes, Harold Schofield, 9 Atlantic Avenue. And yes, I support Catherine's comments. I'm really here on this one as a representative of the Peer Residents Association. First of all, I want to thank Wayne Pimentel for his efforts in streamlining this process in a way that it will be more enforceable. We fully support that. With respect to Mr. Alva's conference, I don't think you're here tonight to relitigate the 3-student ordinance. We did that, it passed. But a couple of things I do want to say. One is that we are a little disappointed that the town met with the landlords in doing this and not with the neighborhood groups. As you all know, we in the neighborhood groups have fought for these ordinances for years, and we're pleased to have it. And while we are very pleased, and when we survey our membership in the last poll we took, we get almost unanimous support for vigorous enforcement of the 3-student and the 4 unrelated ordinance, both of them. And with respect to the form, and I realize this is a work in process, but the last 2 points on Mr. Pimentel's, summary of the, changes here, we do think that the names and contact information of the renters should be uploaded and included in the form. We think the ordinances themselves should be printed on the form. And we certainly think the affidavit, if an online affidavit is legally enforceable, and I'll leave it to James to determine what's legally enforceable, but if it is, it seems to me that they should be signing under penalties of fines and perjury, and they should be heavy. I've had 2 people we know this year tell me that their son or daughter is lining up to rent because they go to URI and have been told on 2 occasions, don't worry about it, we'll just have 3 people sign, but we can put 5 in. And so, that's right, you get a lot of emails, but people can't use an online form. Online forms are common today. I would say that, there should be minimal delays because people can't fill out an online form. It's ridiculous. So I do want to, again, thank Wayne Pimentel and his team for getting this done. I do think this should be legally bulletproof, whatever legally bulletproof means. It seems to me there's no harm in stating the ordinances, both of them, and having the names and contact information of the students uploaded and a part of the form. And the affidavit should clearly bind the landlord to say that what he put on that form is truthful. And if it's not complete, whether it's September 30th or if it's not complete, then the permit to rent should not be granted. You have to renew your driver license from time to time, and you have to get that complete. So I just want to make the point, on behalf of residents, that we want to see this done fully
Thank you.
And enforceable. Thank you.
All right. Before we go on, I just want to state one other thing, just so we're totally transparent. Councilor Kopech and I did have 2 meetings that touched on this. One was with a few representatives from some of the neighborhood groups. We talked about enforcement in general of the 3-student ordinance. And then we had a secondary meeting where we talked more about the rental registration form, but the rental registration form was in that first meeting as well as a topic. So we did meet with both sides on this issue. All right, anyone else? In the back? All right, please state your full name and address.
Andrea Lawton, 41 Clara Lane. So I know we're getting off topic, so I was here for just to look for more time to comply. I think that there's issues with the proposed changes, and I feel like we're just trying to push it through without looking at all the issues. which everyone's bringing up with the 3-student, it's not solving the problem of affordable housing. It's making it worse. I now have friends scrambling to buy 3-bedroom houses because the prices are just as high. They can charge just as much for rent. So you're not solving the problem at hand, which is the noise. We should spend time figuring out ways to control the noise in the area, control the students, not just trying to pass things like this that nobody's paying attention to. So I'm urging you to look at the proposed changes, make sure they make sense, because the 3-student does not make sense, and it's only driving the prices up further. So if I have a 4-bedroom, I'm just going to charge $1,000 instead of $700. It's affecting the students, it's affecting the URI community, and I don't think that we're looking at this, as close as we should. We're just trying to pass it. So if you can just take a look at this ordinance, give some time. Maybe it's December, maybe it's February of next year. Let's look at it and see what we're trying to accomplish. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Stanley? I also just want to make a point that, so this specific item is on the registration form. It is related in a way to the 3-student, but we're voting on the form itself. Go ahead, Stanley.
Stan Wachowski, 1044 Boston Road. First, Wayne's does a fantastic job. Do whatever he says, because he's having a difficult problem, I'm sure, trying to get through this mess. So I suggest whatever he comes up with, you ought to follow suit. I'm with him. Do whatever you need to do to try to do what you got to do. It's your job. And the whole thing, I wonder how many calls there are for rental noises versus homeowner noises. Did you ever get a statistic on it? Are rentals really that bad? Are these children really that bad? I'd like to know some data on that. I wish you'd look into that. And then I heard from a fella, that, a couple of fellas, they sold a house, they sold their rental, now there's an Airbnb. A lot worse than a student rental. So there's ulterior things to consider here.
Stanley, we want to stay on topic with the form.
Well, the forms. Yeah, we shouldn't have any form. It's all on a tax assessor sheet already. Everything we need to know, the owner's address, name, everything we need is on tax assessor. We don't need any form. We don't need the list. Eliminate the forms, eliminate the registrations not needed. The home, the property is already listed. And you got a problem with the property, you call the owner that's listed on a tax assessor sheet. We don't have to go and start throwing the children out of houses or looking at them or telling, we need all this data. No, we don't need all that stuff. You've already got it. You're wasting another couple $100,000 on rental registration. And 90% of my 99% of my rentals are old people. You don't need to register them all year. I only have, I think, 1 student rental, 3 student rental. That's all I have, by the way. But the whole idea of this list that you've developed for a couple $100,000, not needed. You need noise enforcement. You don't need a list. Eliminate the list completely. Get noise enforcement. Justice for all. The children don't need to be discriminated against. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yep. Go ahead. Please state your full name and address.
Carl Marchand, 76 Lambert Street. I think the glaring issues were brought up quickly about the short timeline, the online requirements. Everybody might think it's easy for everyone, but you're going to find out how many people that it wasn't easy for. I don't know what you think the percentage of completed registrations, you think it's going to work flawlessly. I think earlier tonight, Eva stated when it was the tangible property issue about keeping it streamlined and easy and make sure it went off properly so there would be no problems. Dr. Alba talked about an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In your private lives, in your private careers, how do you make decisions? I don't think you take too much risk at making sure they go the wrong way. And you really think them out, and the extra time that you take is worthwhile. I also think giving out personal information of our tenants is interesting. I can't even go to Mr. Pimentel's office and find out who put a complaint in against me for my motor home sitting in my yard. But you can post people's information. We're going to talk about a couple of follow-ups on those complaints too. Also, I think the privacy issues are going to be a real big issue. I don't think you can get the information from URI, and I don't know if you should be able to get it from us. I think you should consider a student self-registry. Let them put their information in, not me. Okay, that would alleviate us. It would give you a way to get to the students accurately and so on. The new form hasn't even been shown to anybody yet. Why is that? That's real disconcerting that this new form is coming in and nobody has seen it. The property managers didn't even get to see it at their meeting. So what's going on with the form? Why is it so secretive? There's a lot that'll come out in town. The 3+ students, how about if you have 3+ students and 7 people who are workers, so you have 10 in the house, but there's only 3 students? Are they going to be able to capture it too? And last but not least, there were 70 new rentals established last year in 2021, 70. And there's more coming this year because they need 500 rentals to compensate for the 1,500 students that were thrown out of their housing. So 70 is already done. Probably another 4 or 5 years, we'll have the 500 that we need.
Okay, anyone else? Yep. Please state your full name and address.
Tom Morrill, 6 Foster Lane. I would not want my daughter's name and address on your databases that you're sharing up here.
Okay, next, in the back, all the way in the back. Hi, please state your full name and address.
Patricia Dias, 34 Conch Road. First of all, I'd like to say I agree 100% with his last comment. That wasn't one of my comments, but I agree. I have this in little notes saying, I don't really know whether it's right to have the names of students out on display for everyone to see. We try to keep so many things private to protect our students. While they're not technically children, they are still young. I have a very small house on Great Island. We have 2 bedrooms, and it only really fits 2 students. My house has never had the police come, the fire department, the rescue squad. It's a quiet house, and I know that on our island, the students are usually very, very quiet and well-behaved, and maybe some of the bigger houses have the police and fire show up, but I found more problems with summer renters and the Airbnb people being, not as good a renter as the others. I mean, I've got to stand up for college students and say, they're very good in general, and I would not hesitate to rent to them at all. And I just want to let everybody know that, most of us already have our students all set, our papers signed, our deposits made, and throwing this monkey wrench in might seem like a little thing to you, but for the rest of us, it's like very stressful. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Ferrandi? Steve, please state your full name and address.
Stephen Ferrandi, 44 Sylvan Road. Thank you, council members, once again. This isn't rocket scientists. I mean, we've been talking about the 4 unrelated and the 3 student for many years now. And I got to give credit to Wayne Pimentel, the building inspector, who finally came up with something that's going to have some enforcement capability. Is it perfect? No, it's never going to be perfect. You could always need more information. And I just think it's time, if you really want to get started with this, you have some sort of a registry. This doesn't take people's rights away and say they cannot rent, okay? All it does is put some balance and everything else in it. And all of the naysayers that are saying about Social Security, this, that, and the other, those are all delay tactics. We know exactly what they are, okay? And I think you should institute it as soon as you can at behest of your building inspector. And the whole idea of that, because it goes down to 3 students, that the real estate community and the landlords just have to buy up more of our Narragansett single-family homes to rent, that doesn't make any sense either. I don't think they want to be part of the solution. If they go with this, they'll be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? All right. Want to go around the council one more time, see if we have any changes we need to make. I just want to be clear, there's 2 documents here. One is the ordinance itself, and the other are the proposed fields and process of the registration form. We're voting on the ordinance tonight. The registration form, there's flexibility with the building department on how that's set up, and we can give some direction there. But the vote is on the ordinance, and that's where we have the dates set. So why don't we start with Susan, if you have anything else? No. Okay. Eva?
I just have a clarifying question. So, thanks, Wayne. So there is the concern with, putting the information and printing it out and being public in the houses. So the whole point, from what I understand, of trying to have this database is that it's electronic, and it's just, you wouldn't have to post that. You could change the policy where you don't need the lease posted on the inside of the house, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so then you wouldn't have that information, right? Because if somebody's on the door, if you have people like, friends visiting or whatnot, that personal information's there. But the intent is to have it as a registry and to have so that the building inspector can look it up and pull it up. It's not going to be public to anyone.
Absolutely
It's going to be
not.
the building inspector that's seeing it to check on things. So that was kind of, I just wanted to make sure I had that straight. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Eva. And Wayne, Councilor Kopech?
Good, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Murray.
Wayne, instead of uploading a lease, 'cause I'm really concerned about, the Social Security, and I'm sure candidate Councilman Ferrandy doesn't want his Social Security number sent to the town. So, but, I'm just, to me, I think we're opening up a legal problem. Could you, on the registration form, add a section, just a paragraph, a lease summary, the dates, the students' names? I mean, instead of uploading a whole lease, I think that would probably take a lot of this minutia away.
Yeah, we could certainly just limit it to the student names. We're certainly not looking for Social Security numbers or
Because
any other.
and I don't know, I rarely do student rentals. I think I probably did, I don't know, a couple, but I do a lot of year-round rentals. And normally you put, correct me if I'm wrong, the Social Security number of each individual who's living in the house. And to me, that's, you got to secure that, especially,
Yeah,
this day and
we
age.
don't need that personal information.
Right.
We just need to know which students are living there, so when we get a complaint from somebody, we can align the list with
it's
who's
understandable.
actually there.
It's understandable. And I would probably keep the lease at the door or the summary at the door, so, you can make sure your data,
Yeah.
goes with the building. So, but the other question I had is, since we had the 3 student ordinance passed, has 3 student rentals gone up?
It's tough to say because all of the forms that we get most of them are not completed. They're just left blank, the number of bedrooms, the number of students, so they're not accurate at all.
Have you had a lot of building permits, taking a 2-bedroom and turning it into a 3-bedroom?
We've gotten an increase, an uptick in permits, increasing the number of bedrooms, not only 2 to 3, but 5 to 8.
Right.
And there's currently nothing that prevents somebody from
Right.
doing that as long as they meet the requirements in the bulk zoning.
Correct, correct.
So we have seen an uptick in
But
that.
do you see investors buying these 2 and 3 bedroom homes, which are supposed to be affordable for the
All
families,
right,
and what the original intent of
Let's
the-
stay on topic of the registration
Well,
form.
no, it's got, it's got a lot to do with it. It was brought up, and I want to,
All right, so how about
mention it.
this? Wayne, have you told anyone publicly that the town of Narragansett is enforcing the 3-student ordinance in the past year?
Absolutely.
Enforcing it last year? Because we haven't enforced it.
Well, since September 7th of last year, we've been enforcing it. The 3-student.
We've been enforcing the 4
4 unrelated.
Right,
Yeah, since it's been enacted.
right, but the 4 unrelated, but not the
Yes.
3-student, right? Because we said specifically that we're going to wait until this school year to enforce it.
The 4 unrelated?
The
Well,
three,
no,
the
the
3
3 student, yes.
students,
'cause
right. So any claim that the 3-student ordinance that's in effect has affected real estate, it hasn't been in effect. We haven't enforced it.
Well, instead of having 4 or 5 bedroom rentals, now you got 2 or 3 bedrooms, and they're taking the 2 bedrooms and they're turning them into 3-bedroom student rentals. So you're taking affordable housing off the playing field. It had just the opposite of what you wanted to do.
Okay, well.
So I'll just leave it there.
Okay, all right. So in your opinion, there's no downside to just requiring student names as opposed to leases? It's not going
Absolutely-
to, it's not going
absolutely
to affect
not.
enforcement or anything like that?
No, it will not.
Okay. Does the council have any issue with change? Just, all right, so I think we have everyone's cool with that. The consensus for when you create, when you finalize that form, it'll just be for the names of the students and not lease requirements. And actually, what you have in here says rental leases, contracts, or the names of the renters. So you were kind of going along those lines, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's the only thing. And then we have already talked about flexibility with the deadline for this year.
Yeah, I think if we go to September 30th and the December 31st payment deadline, and then next year we can basically get it all aligned with the August 31st.
Okay, that's good. And James, we don't need to make any amendments for that because it's not in the motion anyway.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Shouldn't we have, like Mr. Monshon was asking, a sample of what the website and
We can certainly post that. We can put together the list of questions that will be asked and
I'd
what
like
the
to see it before I
options.
vote on this.
Well, we're voting on the ordinance, not the form. We're not voting on the form.
Right.
I mean, nothing much has changed from the current registration form, other than most of the questions will be mandatory to be answered.
Right.
Because right now,
And then you can't move forward to the next question.
absolutely, because right now people send them in blank.
Right.
But they're still mandatory, they didn't respond.
Yes, they don't
Yeah.
respond,
Yeah.
yes.
Now they have to.
So nothing really has changed, other than we will ask for the students' names to be put on the electronic registration. That's pretty much the only thing that's going to be added.
Right, okay.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Wayne. Thanks for
You're
your time.
welcome. You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
It's an ordinance you guys passed, which I didn't vote support. Yeah, I know, I'll support it, yes.
Okay. All right, motion passes 5-0. Okay, we're going to move on to number 19, which is a motion to approve the police department's request to hire one probationary patrol officer. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any questions for Chief Corrigan? Nope, okay. Chief, you don't have anything you need to add, right? Good. Just the vacant spot, right? Okay. All right, anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 20 is a motion to approve the purchase of 4 new 2022 Ford Police Utility all-wheel drive vehicles from McGovern Municipal HQ in the amount of $142,098.85, utilizing the Greater Boston Police Council contract.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, questions for the chief for any comments.
Yeah, actually, could the chief come up? I just want a full disclosure, looking in the parking lot, because we received a picture of what the parking lot looks like, and it's
Yes.
full of police cars. So I want to give you the opportunity, because I know
Sure.
you'll have some excellent answers for us on the vehicles.
Very good. So to remind you on the system, so we have 11 frontline vehicles that are used for patrol officers. But when you look in our back parking lot, you're not going to see 11 marked cars. We also have, the way the system works is when those get extra miles on them and wear and tear starts to kick in. If they're still roadworthy, but we don't want to have them running constantly, we'll make a car a spare vehicle. So when an officer's doing like a detail, like a speed enforcement or something that's not part of the regular shift, they'll take the spare car instead of their assigned car, so their assigned car can rest for a shift. When that car starts to get in worse shape, it'll then go to what's called our detail fleet. So we have another 5 cars that you'll see in that back parking lot that are marked cruisers. They're only in good enough shape to be parked on the side of the road with the lights on. We bill those out at $25 an hour for details. Last year, we billed those out for $43,000 in revenue for that. We also have 2 vehicles that are dedicated for our sergeants, 3 sergeants per car. 2 vehicles that are dedicated to our canines that are specially equipped for the canine officers, and 1 vehicle that is shared by 3 lieutenants. So there's actually 22 marked cars in the back parking lot, but only 11 is being used for the day-to-day patrol officers. These cars that I'm looking to buy now, 3 cars are going to get assigned to the patrol division. Higher mileages vehicles will go to the detail section. And then 1 vehicle is going to replace a captain's car. His car is going to go to my prosecution officer because his car is now it's a 2008 that's broken down completely. It's not running at all.
And you can't sell it.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Can't sell it. No.
Is it
Hopefully
one
later
of the
this year
ones on
we'll
the
sell
list?
some cars. Any further questions?
No, I think you cleared up any confusion I might have had with the vehicles in the town. So excellent job.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I'm just curious about something. You know, we seem to always be buying SUVs, and I was wondering, I mean, and this may be just a back-in-the-day question, but we used to have sedans. You know, I don't. I'm
Right.
just
So
curious about that.
the price is comparable, so it's not like a savings to go with a sedan. The SUVs are excellent in the bad weather. So during the winter before, when we would have a storm, all those sedans would sit in the back parking lot, and we would have to get all our police officers put into the pickup trucks and SUV and larger vehicles that we had. Now the officers can go out and give proper coverage to the town. We also carry a lot more equipment than we used to. You know, we get stop sticks and patrol rifles and other equipment that are stuffed into those cars now.
All right. And just a comment, if it's all right. I think one of the things that we have to begin to look at, and we probably have to do it now because I know that in the capital budget we have you know a rotating number of cars that are going to be purchased or vehicles that are going to be purchased over time, is that we really need to begin to look to you know the possibility of electric or hybrid cars.
Yes.
And I think that the thing is that you have to start it now because they're hard to get, and I think we need to you know be considering that for next year going
After
forward.
our hearing that we had, I
Yeah.
did instruct my captain, who was a fleet,
Mhm.
in charge of my fleet, start researching that. So we're going to look at that for replacement of administrative vehicles going forward.
I assume that sometime soon there will actually be, you know, vehicles that you know your officers can use as well. I mean, maybe they're not available right this minute, but I know that they're creating electric trucks now. There's a lot of opportunity. But you know, if we don't do it now, we won't get them for next year. We wouldn't get
Right, yeah,
anything for
I'm
next
comfortable
year.
looking at that for administrative vehicles, but I haven't seen enough research to convince
Okay.
me that's good for patrol use.
I would
Those
just-
are emergency vehicles.
Yeah, but we can keep an eye on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for the chief?
You don't propose patrol cars electric, do you?
That's what I just said. I
You just
don't-
just said
Not
that.
right now.
Not yet.
As
Not
they
yet,
advance
Patrick.
through the
They
years,
tried that in
we'll
Berkeley,
continue to research
California.
it. Like right now, I wouldn't feel, I don't think we have the infrastructure even to charge
Correct.
Right,
full fleet of cars like that.
Yeah, Berkeley, California tried that, and they lost a couple thieves there because they ran out of juice.
You can also run out of gas.
Well, I seriously doubt you're gonna run it. You can go freaking what? How
I'm
many
just
miles?
saying,
Oh, stop,
What, 300?
please.
what do you do if you run out of gas? All right.
I just want
Thank
to
you,
ask you
Chief.
one.
I'm running out of gas.
Chief, can I just ask you one other question? The cars that are on the agenda tonight were in your budget planned, correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
All right. Ms. Alberto?
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. If I'm not mistaken, we have 22 police cars, and we have so many police cars because some are set aside for details, and they're set aside for that, and they're set aside for this. I just think that's unnecessary. This is $207,000 for 4 more vehicles. We just bought a few vehicles. It wasn't that long ago, and as I recall, one of them was supposed to be a spare. We have the set-aside thing. I think we have to manage the fleet a little better. But we have so many vehicles because we have so many police officers. And we have all these police officers because supposedly the students were a problem. Now we have a 3-student ordinance. I think, you know, when a town like ours, and we've lost residents too. It's gone down 8.8%, but we haven't reduced the police staff. We have as many police officers per capita as Providence. This is just, to me, not acceptable. I just think it sends a bad message, but I think it's just too much money. I'm not, you know, advocating laying anybody off or anything like that, but, you know, by attrition, you can reduce the force. And it's, in the end, it's better for a smaller force, and they get overtime because they end up making more money, and it saves the town money because they don't have to put pension money and benefits and all that other stuff. I just think we need to look at that. It's 10 extra police officers because of the student issues. We've never been reimbursed by the rental owners that extra $1 million. And now, hopefully, we're going toward less noise and problems, baloney. And I just think we have to look toward that in the future, reducing the force and reducing the number of vehicles. Bye.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wojciechowski?
How many police officers do we have now? That's the chief.
Please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I was wondering if they have 100,000 miles on them. Or in fact, SUVs. I'm so happy to see the SUVs. So I think now with the SUVs, we're talking maybe 300,000 miles available on those son of a guns. I know I got a Honda van, and that thing's got 180,000, and it sounds beautiful. So I'm sure these SUVs, we've got to, just because we programmed in our capital budget to do it, I think we ought to reprogram that capital budget and program it to have a goal of 300,000 miles. I understand he mentioned the idle time is 3 times, and I understand the idle time is significant. But I'd also like to see what the repair costs are. Are they on these vehicles? So I'd like to see over, now I'm with the SUVs, I'd like to see over 200,000 miles and some repair costs to justify moving on to other vehicles. Just to have that data to prove that we got to change our capital movement here, not just dictate, oh, we're gonna have so many, 15 to 20 police cars and these many cars, that many cars. We got to change that. That 100,000 miles doesn't work anymore. It's 300 with the SUVs. And I commend the chief on going to SUVs. Plenty of room in there. And I just think it's good to have a presence. That large vehicle is a presence out there, which is much better than any sedan. So I commend them on doing that. And the bigger, the better. And that'll also give us one with more mileage. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Question for the chief.
You have a question for, okay.
Chief, I have one more question, a couple more quick questions here. You have surplus vehicles that you're trying to sell, right?
Yes, I have.
Would
some
you
excess.
estimate that the sale of them, once the ballot initiative goes through, hopefully, because I've never seen a ballot initiative that didn't go through, would that offset the cost of these vehicles?
Not 100%, but it'll
Yeah.
offset partially.
But how many
It's always been part of our process
Right.
prior to this change in the
That's right.
purchasing.
Yeah.
So that we would bring the cars on, and then some cars will get in line.
Phase
They
them
move-
out.
They move through the system, then other
Right.
cars get pushed out of the fleet
Right.
altogether.
Right. But this is
Yeah.
this is a canard that where, you're stacking up vehicles like so how many you got that are surplus, that are gonna be sold?
I'd estimate we probably could auction 3 cars.
3 cars, okay. All right, so I'd offset some of it, I'd probably get 60,000 from that, so it cuts it, okay.
Sure.
All right, and the other thing, I guess, how many police officers do we have right now, full-time?
We were at 41, going to 42 in January.
Okay, 42, all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Patrick. All right, all in fit. We're past open forum. We'll get you, we closed open forum. No, we're good, thank you. We're just gotta stay online, we have a long night. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, motion approved, 5-0. Okay, number 21 is a motion to approve the purchase of 3 SUV radios for the police department from Motorola Solutions in the amount of $16,782.18. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I'm just curious why it's 3, not 4.
In a different vehicle.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's 3 in both. Okay, got it, thank you.
Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 22 is a motion to approve the purchase and installation of equipment for 3 new police vehicles from Global Public Safety in the amount of $49,055.88. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. All right, under Parks and Rec, we have a motion to approve and authorize the Narragansett Parks and Recreation Department to partner with the Narrow River Preservation Association and the Narrow River Land Trust in offering 4 additional educational programs on the Middlebridge property, subject to approval of state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions for Michelle?
Nope. Just excellent.
Yep, it's an
Great idea.
annual thing.
Great idea.
Great idea.
Yeah, I'm ready for a program.
Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. And number 24 is a motion to approve the rehabilitation renovation to the older children's play structure at Sprague Park to be completed by O'Brien and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $19,864.85.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions for Michelle? Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 25 is a motion to approve the professional services contract for architectural/engineering services for the design of a roof structure addition at Cannabis/North Beach Clubhouse with Frank Karpowitz Architects Incorporated in the amount of $14,250 and at their quoted hourly rates.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so this is, if you all recall, we had a discussion about that new roof structure at the clubhouse. We didn't want to go forward with it at that time, so this would be approving the architectural plans, not the build-out, but the plans.
So it's 14,000 just for the plans?
Do you want to ask Michelle any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, you mind coming up?
Good evening.
Hey, Michelle. Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, Michelle, so it's 14,250 for just the plans.
It's a lot of money, I know. So yes, so as you know, I previously went before you for a design and build and construction with ABCOR, and it did not pass at that time. Over concerns exactly, what it would look like. We kind of had a rendering that was kind of quickly put together. And again, you had decided that, you know what, I think we need a little bit more. So Frank Karpowitz, as you know, has a very excellent reputation with the town. His company has worked on many projects, to include most recently the Cabana rebuilds as well as the building envelope for the community center. So as part of his fee, not only would he be preparing the preliminary design for the roof structure, but also the final designs and plans, specifications, and readying the project for bidding. Because again, once we get a design plan in place, then that will be part of the bid, which we will again put out for building of the structure. So all of those technical elements, architectural elements that go with building something like that, wind loads, structural dimensions, all that kind of architectural work that my department, of course, couldn't do alone.
Is there a wind velocity spec, maximum wind velocity for something like this?
I'm sure there is, sir, and that's where Mr. Karpowitz's work and design plan would be crucial in determining exactly what the wind load for this particular structure, the 36 by 36 structure, would need.
Now, who drew up that last sketch, though? Was that Kyle? I mean,
No, that was our engineering department, Mr. John Gerhardt.
right. 'Cause, man, all right, thank you.
Again, Patrick, just one thing I'd like to add. So with this design plan, Frank Karpowitz, again, would work continuously with the winning bidder company as well, offering assistance in any other areas and aspects of the design or the building of the structure itself. So it's just not that he's going to make the plans. He's going to be there, just like he was with the community center envelope, right till the end and completion of the project.
It's just that it's I don't know, 36 by 36 is not
Yeah, so that 14,000 is just, it's not the design, it's a full package of support as well along the way.
Correct, yep,
Yeah, so
yep.
that's
Thank you.
You're
Right.
welcome.
So, some of the things that I think we had brought up during that previous discussion were, what was the material going to be? How exactly was it going to look? You brought up the wind velocity issues. These are all this is exactly what you're presenting to us, right?
Correct.
This is
So
addressing
this is hiring the
our concerns.
expert to design a structure that will be sustainable with this oceanfront property.
We never sent this out for a bid then?
Not yet, sir. We
No,
would
I mean
need-
the architectural plans for a bid.
Well, once we get the plans, sir, then these plans will be what the bid will be about.
Did we seek other architects to draw up the plan?
No, sir. So we have a limited architect, I guess, pool that we could pick from. We don't have a list like the engineering department. I went to John and say, hey, John, what's our short list of architectures in town? He said, well, it's pretty short. We've got Frank Karpowitz. And based on conversations with John, and again, the work that Frank Karpowitz has done for the town in the past, we've been extremely satisfied with him. And again, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go with him, since he has done such great work for us in the past. If we don't go this direction, if you choose not to support this, then we would have to bid out this. And again, which would cause more time and more delays. And again, we have used this system before of not having to put this out to bid in our ordinance. If you look at page, the bottom of the agenda. So again, this service can be and is exempt from bidding per the town's ordinance 70-306. Contracts for architectural, engineering, and other similar professional services shall be accepted from the competitive bidding process and shall be awarded on the basis of professional qualifications, experience, and the ability to satisfactorily complete the work within time and budget constraints.
All right, got it.
Okay, any other questions for Michelle while she's up here? Eva, Susan, or Deb? Nope, okay. Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right, anyone from the public? Catherine?
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. The subject line says, "Services for Canachet North Beach Clubhouse Deck Roof." The sign still says North Beach Clubhouse. Putting the word Canachet in a subject line doesn't make it so. I think the town council decided that it should never have been changed. And when you mentioned about changing the sign, she said signs are expensive. The sign that's there looks like somebody made it in their garage, okay? So if you have all of this money to spend, this is $200,000, but this is the road we're going down here. I can't imagine why a new sign hasn't been made. That's number one. But number two, this is $200,000 taxpayer money we're never going to recoup because no town council is ever going to raise the fees to rent that place. I know who the three people are running. They're not into raising fees. So we're going to eat this in plain English. The taxpayers are going to eat because some people go there to rent it. They see a big yellow disc in the side and they go, oh my God, there's going to be sun. And this is just nonsense. You know, at that point, I would direct them to Kinney Bungalow. How about the Clock House? That's really nice, and it's got a big grassy area in the back. We're building a roof for a couple of complainers, and we're never going to get the money back. That's what it comes down to. We're never going to get the money back. And I think that there's, Thompson Park needs new playground equipment. Eastwood Look Park, oh my God, I don't think that they ever changed that equipment. You know, there's other things this money could be spent on. But first and foremost, I think the sign needs to be changed. And this, I don't want to go down this road. We're not going to get the money back ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Okay. All right. Any last discussion from the council?
The cost of renting a tent every year. Remember that one? Is it 2,000? It's like 2,000 a month. 2,000 a year? No.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call the vote.
Yeah,
Good?
Go ahead, vote.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Eva, were you an aye? I couldn't hear. Yes? Okay. All right. Motion approved 4-1. Number 26 from Public Works is a motion to adopt a resolution amending the official list of designated stop intersections in the official stop sign map in accordance with Narragansett Code of Ordinances. Do we have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 27 is a motion to approve the purchase of one new 2023 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 regular cab 4x4 pickup truck, including snowplow and liftgate from Colonial Municipal Group, utilizing the Greater Boston Police Council contract in the amount of $59,797.10.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Stanley?
Stan Wachowski, 46 Fifth Avenue, 1044 Boston Neck Road. I was just looking at snowplow. I think we're not having any with snow. If you look, I don't know how many snowstorms we had, but are we replacing some truck? Does it have over a couple 100,000 miles on it, or is this an additional truck? I'd just like to look at it and see if we can postpone this another year or two, for two reasons. Snow, lack of snow out there, and mileage on existing trucks may not be high enough to replace. I don't know which the issue is. But I just want to be more careful on just out there spending $60,000. Maybe we can postpone this another year or two.
Members of the council, this is replacing a vehicle that will be going on the surplus list, and the back order for some of these vehicles is considerable, and we're hoping that we get the vehicle before the other vehicle dies.
All right, sounds good.
But it is going to be sold, Stanley.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Jim. Okay, any other questions from the council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 28 is a motion to approve the contract with Precision Concrete Cutting Incorporated for sidewalk trip hazard removal on designated roads in the amount of $10,329. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 29, under the IT department, is a motion to approve the annual software and maintenance agreement with Vision Government Solutions in the amount of $19,566. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 30 is a motion to approve the annual agreement for Barracuda Unlimited Cloud Backup Storage and Support for fiscal year 2023, purchased through Zones LLC in the amount of $11,193.48.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 31 is a motion to approve the annual renewal of the Asset Essentials Enterprise from Brightly, formerly Dude Solutions Incorporated, in the amount of $16,287.67. Is there a
I'll move the
motion?
motion.
Second.
Very unfortunate. Name change. The next council never get to talk about Dude Solutions, so it's too bad.
But it's still bright.
But it's still bright.
Brightly.
You can bring up Dude. Yeah, it's still Brightly. All right. Anyone from the public? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 32 is a motion to approve the cloud email renewal and office upgrade with Zones LLC in the total amount of $80,886.
Move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion from the council?
Yeah, what's the time? That's not an annual, that's a.
It's a renewal. It is a
Yeah,
renewal.
yeah, but what's the timeline? 5 years? Oh, God. 1 year, cloud for 80,000?
Chunk of change.
It's email and office, right, for the whole town?
Yeah, that is correct. That'll cover the entire email system in the cloud and the office for everybody who needs it in the town.
That's how it goes.
They,
The price will fluctuate a bit.
Did they throw in
Not
a plow
everybody
truck?
needs it, so. What's that?
They throw in a plow truck?
Oh, I wish.
Ay, ay, ay. Did that
Stanley-
price go up? I don't remember that being close to that. Did that price go up?
All right.
Nice try.
It did.
Double?
Our first cloud with Microsoft was the email system last year. This year, we were due for the upgrade to our existing Office licenses, and this year we moved to the subscription-based Office, which pushed that license up to another
But
level.
last year was what, half, right?
It was about half, yeah, about
Yeah,
half.
okay.
Yep.
That's why it just stands out. That's a
Yep.
truck.
It'll keep us updated in the current version of Office in
Almost two
perpetuity,
police
so,
cars.
which is
Right.
nice.
Right.
So it's expensive, but that's where everything's going, unfortunately.
Perpetuity, that means until the next council gets on.
Ooh, let's hope not.
So 250 licenses is what we're talking about.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess when you break it
Thank you,
down.
Dan.
Stanley, did you still want to speak? Can you please state your full name and address?
Wojciechowski, 1044 Bass Neck Road. I just don't know if there's a second or a third. Was there anybody else included in the bid? Do we have a second bid, or do we have to go off for quotes, or could we find out some way to get that $80,000 reduced somehow with either competitor or at least?
Can we can we move to Hotmail?
Make them think so. I don't know. Make them think so.
How about Yahoo?
Zones LLC holds a contract that's already been pre-bid. We purchased this under a purchase agreement. It gives us a lot of power versus trying to bid it ourselves. So we actually get a very good price. That 250 license includes email, Office, an advanced online Active Directory system for us, and mobile device management. So we're actually getting quite a deal, quite a package. So
All right, thank you, Dan.
you're welcome.
All right, looks like Councilor Murray's so disgusted that he just walked away, but we'll continue, we'll go through. I don't know. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 4-0. Number 33 is a motion to approve the renewal of the Viewpoint OpenGov applications services with OpenGov Incorporated in the amount of $19,228.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Excuse me, any discussion? Okay, anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 4-0. Number 34 is a motion to refer the request from Blish and Kavanaugh in regard to Plat R, Lot 146A, 154 Saltaire Avenue, for waiver of the sewer policy to the Sewer Policy Committee for review.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so this is just a referral to the sewer policy, or sorry, to the Sewer Policy Committee. Any questions? Nope. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, anyone from the public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 4-0. Number 35 is a motion to accept and authorize the town clerk to record the sanitary sewer right of access easement from the Westquogue Community District,
I'll move the
Westquogue.
motion.
say it?
Second.
All right. What's that?
You're doing pretty well.
Any discussion from the council? Any questions for John on this? Does everyone understands this? Okay. All right. We'll go to the public. Catherine? Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. Has this project been approved by the
This is,
sewer committee? This is one of these sewer ejection things, and they all go into the main line on Boston Neck Road.
Right, this
We've
is
had
a-
problems with these in the past in Edgewater. I'm just wondering, was it approved?
James, you have some information on
Yeah,
this?
this is a pretty interesting project. It was approved by the General Assembly through the Westquogue Community Association. They get their own private road there, a private
Right.
sewer. They're going to maintain it. It connects across Boston Neck. We have an easement for any access, but we don't control this sewer project essentially. But John can speak more on the sewer policy, but it's a pretty interesting situation overall.
So my question just is, what kind of input we're going to have here, because this sewage is going into our system. So it's very important that it would be designed correctly. This is something different, and I'm just wondering why we're doing this if it hasn't been approved by our sewer commission.
So this
right?
is to give the town access.
I know, access to something that hasn't been approved. Why are we doing this? Seems to me we should approve
Well, I think
it
it's
first.
in anticipation
I
of
don't
the
know.
approval, right?
It's been approved by
The General Assembly, they get approved sewer issues?
It's a private sewer
Okay,
system.
Right.
no, but it's a
shouldn't be
private
having this
system going into our towns.
Right, but it already got sewer policy approval, right, John?
Okay. Well, that's the only thing I wanted to know. Did it, or was it already approved? Okay. Now I know why you're doing this easement thing. But again, there's been issues with these things in the past, and we really have to pay attention. Otherwise, it ends up costing us a whole bunch of money because they have problems, and we end up fixing them. This is what happened in Edgewater, as I recall, a few years ago. Thank you.
Well, this
Thank you.
particular property is in the southern end of the town, which we have like,
This is in Bonnet, right?
Yeah, this is still like
the bonnet,
emptying
All right.
and going out.
Anyone else from the public?
Saltaire.
Okay,
No, this is Westquogue.
all right.
This is the
Patrick, you missed like multiple items. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved, 5-0.
Westie, oh, okay, you're on 35, sorry.
Number 36 is a motion
36.
to
Sorry about that.
approve the purchase of one new 2023 Chevy Equinox all-wheel drive in the amount of $26,421.51, and one new 2023 Chevrolet 2500 HD regular cab work truck in the amount of $44,477.10 from Colonial Municipal Group utilizing the Greater Boston Police Council contract. Total, $70,898.61.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay? I just want to state, the reason why we have so many approvals for vehicles and other budgetary items is because we skipped our July 5th meeting. We would have had a decent amount of them in that meeting and then additional ones here.
Right.
Because
We're
we're-
taking care of all of them now. So
We're in a
that's-
new fiscal
That's why we're
year.
getting hit with,
It's a new fiscal year.
right, yep, new fiscal year. Any discussion, though, on this?
Just again, maybe not an electric vehicle, but a hybrid vehicle going forward, because then you can have gas, which means, you don't have to worry about running out of it. Just saying. In the future. which is now.
Which is now.
And I do remember during the budget workshops, I think you were out of town, right, Deb? We did bring up electric vehicles a few times because we wanted to just kind of get, I mean, the department heads have this on their radar, but we're just trying to reinforce that idea, so.
I'm just, my whole point is that for, anything that's coming up for next year, we really have to be working on it now. That's the point. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay, anyone? Stanley? Stanley, please state your full name and address.
1044 Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. Yeah, I just want to be consistent. I don't want to just call out any particular person and any one vehicle. Again, the vehicle things, every time we get a vehicle, I'm hoping that we're replacing an existing vehicle that has a couple $100,000 because that's what trucks do today, So I'm hoping this is a replacement for something that's either a lot of maintenance or a lot of high mileage. Not just an automatic replacement based on your capital assumptions. That's all I'm asking for this one and for the next one.
It's reached the end of its useful life.
It's beyond its useful life now. They determine that, okay.
You got 200,000 in this meeting. This meeting's 200,000 miles.
I'm sure it's the case, but I think I might as well stand up here also because I did it to all the other departments. I'm not going to let this fellow here feel that I
don't let him
I
off
don't
the
want to
hook,
discriminate
Stanley.
against him. I'm going to let him have the same thing as everyone else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a 2007 Stanley. It's it's used up.
My truck is a 1992.
Oh,
Stanley, should we assume that you are questioning each vehicle purchase for the rest of the meeting, and then we'll just
Well, no.
we'll just make that
I
assumption?
just, since I hit this one here, I can't let
We
the next
do
one.
have families.
I
We
want
have
you-
families.
I will question that's for the record. I will question every vehicle. Hopefully that will
We'll save a little time.
Cause all future people to look at it and make sure it's justified.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, Catherine? So this is for motion 36.
Okay, Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I don't know about hybrids when it comes to trucks, but in here it says 2023 Chevrolet Equinox all-wheel drive, 26,000. I'm assuming that's not a big car for 26,000. Can't you reject this one and ask to put it out for a hybrid bid for this one, for this particular, just try it? I mean, why not? I mean, it's 26,000, can't plan on come back 100,000, so like I said, the truck thing, I don't know anything about it, but this $26,000 vehicle, why can't that go out, and try to get a hybrid to replace instead of this one? I'm just throwing it out there, trying to, it's a way to segue into it with the cheapest vehicle I've seen on this agenda so far.
Mr. Town Manager, does the Greater Boston Police Council contract have hybrid vehicles available?
I don't know. I'd have to check tomorrow with purchasing.
Maybe we'll check on that, and we'll relook at that, because I don't mind.
John, we'll have John step up and give an answer on that.
These two vehicles were originally approved last year. The master price agreement purchase agency could not fulfill the order, so these are already a year old.
It's a redo.
And we're getting a small SUV because it's available, and we don't absolutely need a truck for the superintendent. So that's the superintendent needs his vehicle replaced. That vehicle has an excess of 30,000 miles on it, and the other truck is rotting away and is used as infrequently as possible.
Thank you.
Turn into a student rental.
Yeah, I mean, I think the theme is that we want to move towards hybrids and electrics. It's hard enough to get any car right now. Everything's overpriced. Gas is so high, everybody wants electric vehicles. So we're not going to make it, we're not going to change course right now on the spot, but the point is made for sure.
Yep.
I've heard of that a few times. Right. Okay. Any other comments? Number 36. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Number 37 is a motion to approve the purchase of one new 2023 Chevrolet 2500 HD regular cab work truck in the amount of $38,649.51 from Colonial Municipal Group, utilizing the Greater Boston Police Council contract, and one Napheed service body model 696 build out and accessories from Dehana Truck and Utility Equipment, utilizing the State of Rhode Island MPA in the amount of $36,407. Total cost of $75,056.51.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved 5-0. Number 38 is a motion to adopt a resolution to appropriate $2.5 million and issue $625,000 in interest-bearing notes and accept a grant in the amount of $625,000 for the restoration of the Stone Groin/Jetty at the Scarborough Wastewater Treatment Facility, WWTF, and authorize, thanks for the wording on this one. And authorize the town manager to sign agreements for the same after review by the town solicitor.
I'll move the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Nope. Okay, everyone understands what's happening with this?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone from the public?
Clearly needed.
Who's the contractor?
Well, that will have to go out.
Oh, yeah, I was
You
gonna
guys-
go out, okay.
This is just a
For the
resolution.
record,
This is a
the
resolution.
infrastructure bank loan rate is at 2%.
Nice.
A 10-year note right now.
Nice.
Okay.
That's
All
pretty,
in, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0.
Gotta take care of our groin.
Number 39 is a motion to introduce, pass, read, and accept as a first reading an amendment to Section 46-9 of the ordinances of the town of Narragansett. Ordinances to prohibit cannabis smoking and cannabis use on all town of Narragansett-owned property and at other designated places. Do we have
I'll
a motion?
move the motion.
Second.
Okay. You want to have James speak on this?
Yeah, I think James, I think it would be important for everybody here. Again,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this amendment just mirrors the nicotine prohibitions in town. It really only applies to a few select places like playgrounds and athletic fields and town-owned property. So I think that it makes it consistent with nicotine, and which is upcoming, and the cannabis approvals legalization is imminent. So it probably makes sense.
Right, so this adds smoking or vaping cannabis or tobacco. Right, okay. To our already existing ordinance of no smoking.
Correct.
Okay. All right, anyone from the public? Catherine? Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. I just want to know if we could raise the fine. Can we do that?
Not today.
I mean, you have to discourage people, and, if you stop a couple of kids at the beach and they're vaping and their mother has to pay $200, I think you're going to discourage them. That's why I'd rather see the fine raised.
Not today.
But you
do that. You can't amend
do this today, or not?
Not the way this is written, but we can look into it. I'm not sure what the limit of the fines are for that kind of thing. I'll have to check on that.
Yeah, future discussion. Thank you, Catherine. Anyone else? Okay. All right, any last questions or comments from the council? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved, 5-0. Number 40, a motion to approve an increase in compensation for poll workers in the town of Narragansett.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, so this is my item. Actually, it came really from the town clerk, who asked me if this is something that should go on. So over the last couple elections, we've increased the daily rate for poll workers. We did that during COVID because of all the extra precautions and long hours and everything involved in the increased risk, everything involved in that job. A lot of those requirements are still in place, and it's difficult to find workers to work those days, 14-hour days in some cases. So we thought it made sense, or I think it makes sense, to just make this permanent and give a fair rate for that work. So that's what it is. Any comments? Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Thank you, Janet, for bringing that up. Number 41 from the town clerk is a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license application for Sleesburger LLC, doing business as Sleesburger, subject to state and local regulations.
Tasty.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's quite a name.
Not sure I'm going to eat one.
Okay, anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 42, a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license application for Frank Farrell, DBA Frank's, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Cute name.
Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 43, a motion to approve a mobile food establishment license application for Nadine Lopez, or Lopes, doing business as Vegan Sugar, subject to state and local regulations. Sugar?
It's Suga.
Is it Suga?
And it looks like Suga. That's Suga.
Well, either way,
It would be sugar, so.
I know, it might be sugar. Is there a motion?
Yeah,
Do you
we'll
know,
move the
Janet?
motion.
Sugar.
Sugar.
Okay. All right.
I
Doing
move the
business as
motion.
Vegan Sugar, subject to state and local regulations.
Drop the R.
I move the motion.
Second.
Okay, just want to mention, according to our self-imposed limitations, this would be the final food truck license that we can grant. We do have the ability to increase that. So if we got another license application that came in, we could increase it. But just as a side
What's the
note,
number?
I think
How many?
11 or
How many?
13?
We have plenty of Suga trucks around. I think we're all
Oh,
set.
what?
12.
12.
12.
Okay.
Did you say 30?
Plenty of trucks.
Okay, any discussion on this one?
Nope.
Anyone from the public?
That's good, too.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. 44 is a motion to appoint one individual to the Affordable Housing Collaborative Committee.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
All right, do we have any
Yeah,
nominations?
I'd like to nominate Clifford Tyler.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, just to give you a little bit of background, he has affordable housing experience. He's been an advocate in Southern Rhode Island since 2013. He also has other, other criteria, but he's very clearly very engaged in the concept of making sure that affordable housing is available in South County.
All right. Is that the only applicant?
I did speak to both applicants, and they were both excellent, so,
Who's the other applicant?
Johnny Shields,
Johnny, or the son, or the
the son.
son? All right, I'd like to nominate him. He's looking
Okay,
like-
is there a second?
He's a local realtor, grew up here. He has friends who's, he's a younger guy, so he understands the market. Okay.
All right, is there a second?
I'm just thinking about this, yeah, I mean, I'll second Johnny, too. I'll second Johnny.
Okay, so we have one
Yeah.
nomination for Johnny Shiel, one nomination for Clifford
Break a
E.
tie.
Tyler.
They're
We could-
both great
We could talk
candidates.
through this if we want to. So there was actually 3 applicants. Gina, who's already on the rec advisory board. Our policy's kind of been, don't put people in 2 committees. Johnny Shiel and Clifford Tyler. The thing I liked about Mr. Tyler's application was his current experience. He's completely invested in affordable housing. That was the only thing he applied for, was the Housing Authority and the Affordable Housing Committee. It just seemed like that's the person that you want. And not to take anything away from anyone else, that just stood out to me for those reasons. So,
So can you do a vote, because I hate to vote down.
well,
Yeah.
I guess if we can find out where Eva
We get a
stands.
consensus.
This is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Get a consensus.
So where does that?
So I would suggest Clifford Tyler as well.
Okay,
with the
that's it then.
experience. Just
That's it.
based
I'm
on-
gonna, withdraw, you're gonna withdraw your nomination.
No, I won't withdraw it, but we can just go ahead.
So the motion is to nominate
It's easy.
Clifford E. Tyler to the member 4 seat on the Affordable Housing Committee.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Anyone from the public? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 45 is a motion to schedule a work session to conduct interviews for the Zoning and Plating Board of Review.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, so a couple things to think about on this. We have 3 seats expiring. One is a full seat, 2 alternate seats. In this term, we appointed Keith Kyle to the alternate seat 1, and then we appointed Thomas Callahan to alternate seat 2. We've also interviewed Tom Callahan multiple times. We've said certain things like we want to interview for appointments and reappointments. We've said that. We've also been doing this for a year and a half now and seen some of the side effects of like being completely literal with how we're going to conduct this process. I don't think it makes sense to interview Tom Callahan again for the alternate 2.
Agreed.
Or Keith, because we just put him on.
Agreed.
And they're also alternate seats. But I do think it makes sense for the full seat to do an interview for that. We have a lot of applicants, and this would be in line with what we've done for the other full seats.
Could Keith or Tom,
They could.
they can apply.
And they might want to interview for that seat as well.
And that would be okay.
That would be good.
Yeah. Okay.
So does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what we do need to do is think of a date for that. So it would be interviewing for 1 seat, and we do the same process that we've done before, which is everyone submit their choices to the clerk, and then they'll contact the candidates to schedule interviews. Janet, is there anything I'm missing or that you want to mention?
Can't we just move up one of the alternates to the full-time seat?
No, because the current applicant, he might want to be reappointed. He's still eligible for reappointment.
Oh, okay.
So the current applicant does want to be reappointed.
Right.
We've already confirmed that.
We have to interview them.
So you want me to ask the other 2 if they want to be interviewed for the member seat? Is that what you're asking me to?
Yeah, they want to interview for those, and as well as anyone else that we mentioned.
Okay.
Grab a seat.
So
Right, is there
I'm thinking
complications?
this through. It's a little complicated because if we all agree that we would have to offer this seat to the current holder plus the 2 alternates, would we still leave it open to everybody else as well?
I guess we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Do you think it makes sense to say, in respect to the alternate positions, that we're not going to bring in a whole new pool of people, we just keep it to 3?
I mean, I kind of.
Agreed. If you got somebody serving on a committee, especially as difficult as the planning or zoning,
Right, so.
let's just keep them. Let's just keep them. Until there's an actual opening, we shouldn't be shaking the tree.
Well, that's
yet.
not what, we're not saying that.
Right.
We're saying that if we,
We still have to interview them, that's a requirement. So why don't we just interview those 3 as my.
Instead of bringing in other people that might not have an opportunity.
I'm totally against interviewing somebody who's already been on the committee, unless they're habitual.
But they're going from an alternate to a full seat, right?
Well, but we interviewed the alternate position, so.
Yeah.
That's a good.
There was a commitment that we made,
We
not the
already
full
interviewed
council,
them
but
all,
most of us
so-
said we're going to interview for
Actually, the only
appointments.
person we didn't interview was the person who sits in the seat.
Well, no one's interviewed Rob Ferrara yet.
Right.
Right. So that would be the seat
When did he get appointed originally?
before we were on.
Yeah, I know,
he's
but
been
I
on
mean,
for a
did
little
somebody interview him?
I'm not sure how they did those appointments. It wasn't mandatory.
Okay, all right, well, I think it would be fine to limit the interviews to the 3 people who are already on the committee.
I believe he was
hate to bring
interviewed.
in other people.
Sorry?
I believe he was interviewed.
By a previous council.
Yes,
So
yes.
what we need to figure out, and we will go to the public, but we need to figure out a date. That's what this is for. This is scheduling a date. So do we want to do this as we've done before, which is, we've typically done it like at 6 or 6:30 before a meeting? So you want to just, Janet, if we say for our August 1st meeting, is that going to be enough time to get in touch with the few people?
Yeah, so August 1st at 6.
August 1st at 6 or 6:30?
How many
It's only
people?
3 people.
Yeah, 6:30.
6:30?
Shouldn't take very long.
Okay.
So if they're only
Yes.
interviewing those 3 people, not
think
any
so, yeah.
option?
That seems like the
Right.
consensus, unless anyone
Because
disagrees.
we're relatively certain
Eva,
that
what do
all
you
of them
think?
wanna come back.
Okay. All right, why don't we go to the public? Go ahead.
So we're saying
Please state your full name and address.
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. You know, sometimes I go home and my husband says to me, "You weren't really at a town council meeting, were you?" And, you know, but anyway.
Don't worry, I'll
this-
sign any affidavit you need, okay?
So we have a full seat available, and we have a whole bunch of applicants. And I think the only way you could, like, disregard them is if you go through them and some aren't appropriate. But if you have applicants that have experience and ability, then I don't know how you can just disregard them. You ask for applications, and people put them in.
Well, we actually, the way that we do this is we nominate people to do the interviews with, so that's probably what we would do. And
So you're going to nominate everybody, I mean, you're going to interview everybody that put an application in?
no, we never do that.
But if they're appropriate, then why wouldn't you? You ask for applications. You put them.
Because the process is that we provide Janet with the individuals that we want to interview, and that doesn't necessarily mean everybody gets an interview.
Right, I agree with
So
that.
that's
But it
what we
would be everybody who's appropriate, you know? And what you're not doing that. You're
Appropriate's
just-
in the eyes of the beholder.
Well, not necessarily, but,
Pretty
so you're just
necessarily.
interviewing the alternates though now and the person that's on. And to me, you might be disregarding somebody that is good. And, you know, you ask for applications, they put them in, they made the effort, they're interested. And this is how you discourage people from
Well, then
applying.
you're disenfranchising people who've been serving as alternates or a regular committee member, you know, for their service. Thank you.
Well,
I mean, unless
it's-
they're
Okay,
unless
okay,
they're
let's stop.
habitually,
I know, I'm
unless
sorry.
they're
I
habitually
started that,
absent.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's the same process that we've done. If someone, and we can say this, you know, if someone emails Janet and says, I'd also like to bring this other person, that's
they
the
can-
process
then
that
we'll
we've
do
done.
that, right.
We
I
basically
agree
agreed
with
that
that.
we want to do 3. If someone wants to put another person in, they have the ability to email Janet.
Yep.
We're not going to stop that. The other thing I'll just mention is if we did decide to appoint one of the alternates into the full seat, if we thought that made sense, then we have an alternate seat available, and we would interview from this list to fill that seat, if
Yep.
that happened. Okay, anyone else? All right. So this would be scheduled for August 1st, 6:30 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion approved 5-0. And then number 46 is a motion to approve a victualling license application for Tsunami Asian Sushi and Bar LLC, 21 Pier Marketplace, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to state and local regulations.
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions on this? So this is, we do have a liquor license scheduled for August 15th for this, but they're going to open, if they get the approval on this, without liquor for now, and then they'll go ahead with the liquor license later. And this is where Thai Best currently is. Okay, any discussion? Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved 5-0. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.